All right. Where's my stuff here? All right, so we are live. I'm orange, which still is super upsetting. Anyway, guys, nobody? I mean, I am 30 minutes past my go-to. But, well, as this starts kind of kicking off for those of you guys that are watching the stream after the fact, today's topic for when I don't have questions is going to be 6.0 Powerstroke tuning. Excuse me. We'll probably get into some 6.7 Powerstroke tuning too, as some other guys pop in here. But hey, how you doing, brother? How you doing, man? Good to have you in here. Maybe up to 2 people now. Slow start, but we'll get cruising here. So, guys, the in-between topic when we don't have. Oh, where's my dog? My pup's here. She's hanging out. All right, Izzy. Hopefully she doesn't mess my power cord up. Izzy, can you not? Let's not get back there. She doesn't do good with how big she is in relation to stuff. Oh, Edgar, you're at the right place here. So I do have some exciting tuning news. Typically, tuning comes up in these live streams, even if it's not the primary topic that normally comes up at some point. Oh, that's my boss. She's supposed to be doing, well, I call her ex-boss. I have a different boss because I switched floors. She's supposed to be doing work for my current boss. April, are you getting on that? Sorry, guys, just checking on what my dog's doing here. Congratulations on getting your first 6.0, man. Edgar, we will get you set up with your SCT here. Wookie, what's up, brother? Hoping to get back to the station. I'm actually doing. Wookie, you're the firefighter, right? If I remember right, I'm pretty certain you're my firefighter subscriber. I probably have 1 or 2 other subscribers that are firefighters in here. So big announcement in the tuning world. Wookie, what's funny is I'm actually about to do a bunch of CPR for a local fire department. I'm a BLS instructor on the side when I'm not trying to become successful on here, or darn bugs, or doing always live. I don't know that you've ever caught a live stream not on duty, brother. But so anyway, big news for tuning and 6.0s, and this is mainly big news because you guys have asked a lot about blessed performance, and that's actually, I had a different topic for when we were slow in the chat for today, but after talking with Blessed Performance yesterday, in between while doing a double shift, that was one of my breaks. Super cool guy. The owner is his name is Matt. Super cool guy. He's on a lot of Facebook pages, but we are working on planning some tuning together. So, and by tuning together, I mean he's going to do tuning. I have no part in that. And then he's going to send the tunes over, and we're going to review some Blessed Performance tuning. So he is going to kind of sponsor a few videos, and we're going to run his tuning. So a few things with that. I don't have a 6.0 right now, which is still pretty upsetting. But sure, it was on your break. So that's still pretty upsetting. But and I haven't gotten a chance to talk to Josh yet. We're going to see if I can't con Josh into letting me throw a tow tune on his truck. And guys, why do we have 9 people in here and 0 likes? We got to work on that. Let's get some likes in here. So I have a bunch of drinks. So as this goes forever, we can keep going. I'll probably have to go back in and insert this when this actually live stream starts talking about the actual content. So we're at 12 people in here and 5 likes, so we're halfway-ish. Anyway, guys, so Blessed Performance is going to be sponsoring a few videos with some tuning for the 6.0 Powerstroke. He does tune 6.7s. We loosely touched on that, but we're going to start with tuning the 6.7. So the 6.0. We're going to tune the 6.0 first with Blessed Performance. He's been really recommended by you guys. I've had an absurd amount of requests to review his tunes. And actually, one of the funny things is, I don't know if he is actually okay with me saying this or not. He learned a lot of tuning from Nate, which is the guy that ran Windrunner Performance Engineering and was hands down my favorite tuner for the 6.0 Powerstroke. So I'm super excited about that and to be able to review tunes along those lines, because as many of you know, Nate is my all-time favorite. I got the best fuel mileage, the best drivability out of those tunes. So I'm excited to be able to bring that kind of tune back to the channel. And you know, I'm just excited as a whole. I've never had a sponsored tune before, so that's a first. You know, we've been lucky to have a few sponsored videos by some great companies. So I am super excited about that. But guys, as always, down in the chat, whatever you guys really want to talk about, you guys get to kind of drive this live stream and where it goes. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little tired. I worked a double yesterday and like 11 hours today. So I'm a little beat, but we are still going to do a nice live stream here. Some of our regulars aren't in here yet, so I'm kind of wondering where they are. They're normally the ones giving me a hard time about not going long enough on here. And sorry while I pull up some other stuff in the background for the live stream to kind of see what's going on here and for our own entertainment, of course. Community. So anyway, what do you guys really want to see? Yeah, this is the time that everybody wanted the live stream. It's definitely a slow start. All right, here. So you run gearhead on your 6.0. Okay, driving back to the station. Thanks for what you do. Hey, man, no problem, brother. Happy to do it and happy for the support you guys show me. I feel very lucky to get to do this and as often as I do, especially. So, well, while we're waiting for people to go in, let's talk tuning. And I guess we'll start at toe tunes. I hope you guys have been enjoying the toe build series that I've been doing on the channel. Those videos have been doing pretty good. So I hope you guys have enjoyed them so far. You know, we are about at the end of the line for the toe build series. So we're going to start with toe tuning and what I really like. So Nate from Windrunner Performance Engineering had my favorite toe tune. And actually, I had him modify his toe tune to make less power. I actually never even ran his full power toe tune. But his modified one that he made for me did great. Excuse me. Also, guys, don't forget shirts down in the comments, or excuse me, description. This one, let me show you the back of this one. I think this one's funny. Make 6.0s great again. I think that's coming up for you guys correctly. If not, it does say make 6.0s great again. I'm pretty certain that's coming up. So Teesprings has that series along with my SOB 6.0 Bro shirts as well. So I am really liking them. The quality is excellent from Teespring. So this stuff is a little more expensive, but it's good stuff. I think you guys will all like it as you do buy it. So toe tunes and the 6.0 Powerstroke, what do I look for? So I look for transmission tuning in this area is huge. It's definitely more important than necessarily in a race tune, because typically when you start pushing into race tunes, you're not looking for some of the same characteristics. Really, Mike, he should make it his slogan, because if anyone's making 6.0s great again, it's not this channel, it's Kill Devil Diesel and what he's doing over there. So, thank goodness for energy drinks. Anyway, so transmission tuning is probably the most important at this part. But one of the cool things with tuning is you can really get, you know, everyone thinks everyone's 40 horsepower tune is going to tow or is going to act the same, and it doesn't. And it's literally like getting the chance to buy a different engine almost. Sure, it's the same engine, but how they perform can be changed so much. For instance, I ran a 65 horsepower tune out of the canned SCT tunes, the ones that came with it. When I went to Power Hungry Performance, their 40 horsepower tune, it was a completely different ball game. It felt like it had more power. It was making less. It's just the drivability was so much better from it. And it was a nice tune. I did like Power Hungry Performance. I think they still tune, but they definitely aren't as aggressive in that market as they used to be. They seem to be focusing on other stuff. I feel like they're really more of a 7.3 tuner, which I'd like to kind of get into that with my old man's truck. He loves when I call him old man, especially on live streams. But Mike, glad to hear Fast took care of you with that pump. I've heard great stuff about Fast and their customer service. I run them on my 6.0. And we kind of talked about this last time. I was going to probably run an Air Dog on my 6.7 when the time comes for that, and probably do the H&S fuel filter for up top in the engine bay once I, darn bugs, do that as well. But so tuning, transmission tuning is huge in the 6.0 when you're talking tow tunes. And I mean, it's always important, don't get me wrong, you need good transmission tuning, but when you're talking tow tunes, that does so much. Plus, sorry, I'm going to stop trying to hit the bugs. But with that, when you're towing and you hit your tow haul mode and the transmission's helping slow you down, I've ran tunes that the transmission braking feature was way too aggressive. And it took away from the overall towing experience. My transmission ran hotter. So with Windrunner Performance, I didn't have those issues. It worked when it needed to be aggressive. It was. When it didn't need to be, it wasn't. And it worked so well. I was so happy with the refinement of that tune. So with Blessed Performance, which again is probably the most requested tuning company at this time, I'm super excited to get to review his, especially knowing that he's learned a lot from Nate, who was the owner of Windrunner Performance. So that is going to be coming on in the very near future. Like I said, I'm hoping to talk to Josh. I have an SCT already. I haven't even said anything to Josh about this, that Blessed Performance wants to tune one of the trucks. But I'm hoping he says yes. We'll see. You never know. He's kind of a wild card. But moving on to some other more interesting tuning topics. Street tunes are a lot of fun. And Windrunner Performance never actually, he had a tune he called his race tune. I think he called it like White Rain or something like that. He had some cool names that were kind of fun to say anyway. At least I thought they were. But it was more of a street tune. It wasn't like a true race tune. That's not a tune I'd ever actually want to race on. Not because it didn't make good power. The truck was very fast. But when you compare it to something like the Ultimate X from Innovative Diesel, the Ultimate X would have buried that tune. Think of going with an ATS Stage 3. I know you said Suncoast is best, but 10K for chance too rich for my blood. So I will say this. I would recommend staying away from ATS. ATS in general seems to have some pretty shoddy reviews. Some people get lucky. I've talked to guys that have gone through 5 transmissions before they ever got a good one that ran well. Specifically in the 5Rs. I don't know if they just don't have them figured out. I agree. Suncoast is probably the best overall transmission right now, but they are expensive. I would check out Warren Diesel. Let me, well, I know KC Turbo sells their stuff, so let's, can you guys hear the Diesel in the background revving the crap out of his engine? Let's find transmissions on KC's website. That's a big moth. So I bet you can get a good upgrade. Mike, can you tell me what your build is again? What size injector you're running? What size turbo fuel? You're obviously running a monster of a fuel pump. 220 gallon per hour motor out of that fuel pump is pretty substantial. So what's your overall build, and we'll find you a transmission that should be able to hold it. Again, I really do think you should definitely stay away from I can't even think of an ATS, but Warren has some relatively affordable options. So I mean, I'm not sure what the ATS Stage 3 is. I want to say, my dog's doing. I want to say that that's probably as big as they're going right now. I could be wrong. They might have a Stage 4, but a Stage 3 ATS is probably like their full billet option. But, and I don't know how much that is. How much is that ATS? How much Mike, how much is the ATS stage 3 transmission? And is that their full billet transmission? 5,700. So Warren Diesel here, this is they call this their competition plus. It's 6,000. It's Raybesto clutches, modified pump and shift kit with updated rear hub, billet input shaft, billet intermediate shaft, new Ford pump, Precision Industries converter is included. So that's a pretty stout transmission. They're rating it at 800 horsepower, and that's $6,000 off KC's website. And the Precision Industries, I'm sure, is a triple disc billet torque converter. I don't know if it says that. It does not, but I am almost 100% certain that that's their billet everything. I actually don't see another one above that. I think that's actually their go-to. That might have another billet part. Up there's their full billet. So their full billet is $7,000. So Twisted, who's the other one? Their full billet they rate at 1,000 horsepower. Twisted. Twisted Diesel Transmission is another good company as far as having good parts to look at and great transmissions with great customer service. They have a good warranty as well, I believe, and it's definitely a proven design. Mike, what size injector are you running? Because that'll kind of give me a rough idea of the overall power output you might have in your truck, depending on tune, obviously. The other thing with built transmissions, a lot of guys don't look at is you need to change your tuning for them. Typically speaking, these competition transmissions have, like my transmission doesn't have a modified pump. It doesn't have any, they're typically, I think good companies tend to run just OEM solenoids for them. And most good ones do, like Wise Transmission does. Warren does, I'm pretty certain. They don't say anything about their about them. Yep. So really they have the modified pump. It's a new Ford pump. Innovative Diesel Extreme Street, stock injector, stock earthers. It's just stock tuned up right now, but I plan on buying a stage 3 soon. All right. So that's stage 3 is pretty awesome engine to buy. I can understand wanting to, I know I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it to come off like you just need to suck it up and buy this, but I got to tell you, that ATS transmission, I have a lot of doubts that it's going to be able to hold the kind of power that a stage 3, you want to run 11s and a 10. Yeah, dude, I got to tell you, I would 100% shy away from the ATS, even if it takes you another year to save up and make it feasible. I would buy the Warren. I'd buy the full billet Warren. I know it's $7,000. That sucks. Or I'd go to like Twisted, depending on where you live, Twisted Transmission or Twisted Diesel. Twisted Diesel Performance. Sorry, pulling this stuff up as we go. Let's get what their transmission is. I think they actually have a pretty good price if I remember. They have a good warranty. I think they do theirs in 3 stages. Level 1. Show me the 5 R's, guys. Come on. So while I'm looking, I just don't, with what I've heard about ATS, I really do not trust that transmission is going to be able to hold up to what you're going to put your truck through. All right, level 3, 5R. All right, let's see. what they have here. So level 3 5R from them. Transmission best suited for large horsepower increases. It is the stoutest 5R on the market. That's 58. Well, that's basically $5,900. Where's the description? It comes with a deep pan, modified pump, modified clutch packs. Input shaft is billet. Shafts and some hard parts are cryogenically treated. Transmission's best. Torque converter is triple disc with billet cover and steel straighter. 1 year, 100,000 mile warranty. Please specify year of truck. 5-hour transmission. All right, so the warranty's not as good as I thought it was. But I will say this, that transmission is, I guarantee that that transmission is going to hold a lot more than the ATS transmission is. Mike, I appreciate that. I know like a lot of guys, like KC Turbo runs Warren transmissions in his stuff. Charlie Keeter ran Twisted Diesel performance transmission in his. Now they both have since switched to 4R transmissions. So it is a little different, don't get me wrong, but Twisted Diesel Performance has an excellent reputation. And actually, I don't think she knows what she gave you permission. Probably not. But I mean, looking at the price of that Twisted, dude, $6,000, maybe 6,500 with shipping. I don't know. But I mean, that's a really, really affordable. Keeter runs the Twisted. Time-wise, I think he's down in like the 9s, something like that. That can be found on ElitePowerstroke.com. They have the fastest power strokes there. Ryan, how you doing, brother? So currently we've kind of switched from tuning to transmissions, which is fine. Honestly, guys, the topic heads are really super up for change, debate. Really, they're not meant to be permanent. It's really meant to give me a talking point for the blank points in the conversation. When you guys aren't talking or asking me questions, that's kind of going to be my default. I want you guys to ask me questions, Mike. You don't need to apologize. It's just kind of a reference point for when you guys slow down in the comment sections to fill that time until I get asked more questions. So I want you guys to just realize, please ask me any questions pretty much at all. I do try to stay away from politics. But other than that, they're pretty much all game, especially if they're truck related. So transmissions and tuning. We're going to tie this into tuning a little bit because a lot of guys don't realize you need to get your tunes a lot of times updated for your transmissions. Like if you have shift kits or modified pumps on them, your tuner needs to know that information so that they can make changes in theirs, in their tuning as well. Doom, what's up, brother? How you doing? I was wondering when you were going to pop in here. So currently, Doom, we're talking about transmissions and built transmissions. I wonder if Red Diamond Diesel, I wonder if he's still around. So there was one guy that was also doing really good. But I know he had issues at his shop at one point, and he kind of had to step out of it. But I don't know if he's back or not. So yeah, I don't know. He does have a cool. He actually has a GoFundMe up. I believe he lost his shop, and insurance. A lot of guys think just because you have insurance for your shop means like everything's taken care of, and that's not typically true. I have a friend that had a shop that had trucks get broken into, and he was out a lot of money. Insurance only paid for part of it, which is stupid. Why have insurance if they're not going to cover what needs covered? But anyway, so Red Diamond Diesel. Let's see if we can find him. I know he had a Facebook page. I haven't seen him post anything. I believe his name's darn bug. David, I believe, is his full name. So Red Dye. But he was building some pretty awesome. It looks like he's currently not. around. So that kind of stinks because he seemed like a cool dude that was getting a lot of props. But yeah, so Warren I would look at. Twisted I would definitely look at. Weiss Transmission, WYSE, they have excellent reviews as well. So I would those would be my 3 top recommendations. You're going to get great quality from all of them. They're honestly, all the top guys are pretty much using very similar parts. As someone that's spent a ton of time researching transmissions, and I have my full build series on my, custom transmission, if you want to call it that. But essentially, it's a Suncoast transmission. It's got all Suncoast upgraded parts, factory pump and factory solenoids in it. Now, mine needed completely gone through. All new solenoid. Like I took a junkyard one, sent it to the shop, and had them go through the whole thing. So it needed a lot of parts that I couldn't switch over, which stinks because the truck ended up being down longer anyway. I should have just had them pull my transmission at that point and build it, but no, crap happens. But Doom, I still do plan on doing a track bar video. I don't have an official timeline for that, but I do plan on doing one. There isn't anybody out there that has a video removing or putting in a new track bar ball joint. So removing it actually doesn't look terrible. I just kind of have a hard time with getting it back in. I don't know that my press is going to really fit in there, but I feel like that's got to be what they're using to put them in. I mean, I guess maybe a little pulley I could see them kind of using to put in, but I feel like that still would have issues on some level. But yes, I do plan to still do that. I have some serious bad plays somewhere in the drive train. Clunk happens just after takeoff and right before complete stop. I think the third member is coming apart. So Ryan, do you have a 2-piece drive shaft? And does it feel like it's coming from the rear end or does it feel like it's coming from the front? They got a few places that we can start kind of looking into this. And I kind of just need a little more information. So if you can specify, I feel like it's coming from front, rear, both. And my guess would be U-joints. So my initial impression is U-joints and potentially your carrier bearing in your drive shaft if you have a 2-piece drive shaft. Puffing white smoke when cold for 5 minutes, 90-degree weather can it be an EGR valve, EGR cooler, or head gasket? So typically that is not the most common sign of a head gasket failure. So I think you're good there. But it could be your EGR cooler. That's probably a more likely scenario. And basically what you could do there, you have to probably take your Y pipe off to see if it's leaking there. How many miles on your truck? Okay. Doom, while you're helping Jose, I'm going to help Ryan, and then we're going to cycle back and we're going to get to Donald's question about tuning, and we're going to make sure we get Jose squared away with some problem solving here. So, all right. So Ryan, so you have a bad clunk. You have a 2-piece drive shaft. U-joints are solid. How's your carrier bearing would be my next question. And can you confirm that it is in the rear? Solid as well. Sweet. All right. So the next thing I would check for is I would definitely check all of your steering components. Now I have a video. Once I finish replacing all of my steering components on my truck, I'm going to kind of do a video talking about this. I'm chasing down a little bit of a clunk too. Ryan, what year is your truck? So there's a lot of different parts up there that can make a clunking noise. All right, Ryan, you have an 04. So the good news is it's not likely a track bar ball joint because you don't have a track bar ball joint. So that's a good thing. It could be a ball joint. It could be the track bar. It could be any of your steering linkage. excuse me. So it could also be something in your, 1 second, it's going to come to me. It could be on one of the wheels as well. And what I mean by that, like wheel bearing, ball joints over there. I doubt it's the U-joints on your in your front axle, because typically they're only engaged when your hubs are locked in. Otherwise, they don't typically move. So I don't think you have an issue there. Robert, how you doing, man? So what I would look at next is I would really give, assuming the clunking is coming from the front end, it sounds like that's probably the case. Clunking in the rear end is typically from one of those areas. It could be something in a diff, but typically you'll feel that while continuing to drive as well. So what I would do is I would crawl under with the truck on the ground, and I would grab a hold of your tie rod. There's like a sleeve that connects your two tie rods. I would grab that and try to move it back and forth. You should be able to move it, but it should be relatively stiff. It shouldn't be easy. Like you shouldn't be able to take 2 fingers and turn it back and forth. Do the same with your drag link, so you'll have your tie rod sleeve and tie rods on the end. And then on the passenger side, you'll have another one that goes up to your pitman arm. Check that one as well. Same thing. You should be able to move it, but it should be relatively stiff. It shouldn't just be super easy to move. So I would check them. Your track bar, you might want to consider changing the track bar out to something that has or taking it out and changing the bushings in if you have access to a press would help. The other thing you could do, clunking could very well be a ball joint. So as you're assessing, I would check all this stuff before you change anything, by the way. The next thing I would do is I would raise one side at a time, just like a couple inches off the ground, just enough to get a pry bar under each tire. Don't try checking it with your hands, because nobody is strong enough to do that. But get a relatively long pry bar, at least like maybe something like this long. Put it under the center of your tire and try lifting up. A lot of times you can get clunky in your ball joints on that. And that's the only way to really test. You'll see guys grab a hold of the top and the bottom of the tire and try to shake it. They're not strong enough to do it. These trucks are too heavy for that. Go get a Honda Civic if you want to try those things out, because you're not going to do it on this truck. The other thing you could do is checking your wheel bearing. You're going to check for back and forth play. And basically you're looking for a dead spot in it where there's really, like, you'll feel the bearings engage. You want to see if you don't have a dead spot. So, sorry, my dog's barking. Close this door. So you'll grab the tire and you'll try to turn it, looking for that dead spot in your wheel bearing. Those would be the most likely guesses I could get. I mean, if you haven't replaced your sway bar or your end links, or like the sway bar bushings or your end links, those are like, that's probably like 30, 40 bucks and stuff. I would do that while you're in there. That's pretty easy to do on the 04 suspensions. Actually, it's really easy on 04 suspensions to do so. I would check all of those things. From there, I would start looking at brakes if none of that stuff seemed to be bad. I have a full ball joint video. Check your slider pins on all of them, though they don't typically give a clunking. So it doesn't sound like it's coming from the front. So in that case, what I would do, you could put your So what I would do is I'd probably pull my drive shaft. I'd probably disconnect it from the rear. You could put your truck in neutral, but be very careful putting your truck in neutral and messing with stuff. I just don't feel great about that. Make sure you chuck the wheels, but and don't put your e-brake on, because you're going to go back to your wheels and you're going to turn them and basically do the same thing. See if you don't have that play in it or not. So I am like behind in the comments. Let me pull up here and get caught back up. I know Doom's helping take care of some people here, make sure everyone's we're working. So Doom's been helping Jose. So before we go check his stuff out, I'm going to check Donald. Then we're going to go to Jose from there. So Donald says, so what is the best tune? Sick of changing my street tune to a tow tune when pulling my travel trailer. Is there one tune I can stick with using SET Tuner? So good question. And so with the 6-liter, you're always going to have to upload tunes. You don't get any shift on the fly stuff for the 6.0. It's really, really bad for the transmission. I hope Banks stopped offering that shift on the fly thing for the 6.0 because it was dumb. And it's bad for the transmission again. And these transmissions are expensive to replace. So you don't want to deal with that nonsense. So one of my favorite tunes was from Windrunner Performance Engineering. You guys have heard me rave about his toe tune and his street tune. They were fantastic. Sorry, I gotta change where I'm at here just a little bit. Anyway, so Windrunner Performance was my favorite tuning. I really did enjoy it, but he doesn't tune anymore. And a lot of you guys have asked about Bless Tuning, and he recently reached out to me, and I spoke with him on the phone. Very nice guy, and he actually learned how to tune partially from Nate. So Nate and Bless Performance is going to sponsor a channel or a video or two, and I would probably go with his toe tune if he's anything like Nate. You're going to love it. It still make good power and be fun to drive on the street, but at the same time, you'll be able to hook up to full load and go to town and do what you need to do there. But other good tuners that have great reputations, Gearhead has a really good one. Warren Diesel does. I've enjoyed Power Hungry Performance if they're still in the game. For daily driving stuff, I don't really care for Innovative Diesel. They do make nice tunes, and their customer service I've had a great experience with. But all in all, I'm not a super big fan of daily driving their tunes. Sorry, I need a drink. But I would go that route. I will say this. You're never going to get a toe tune and a street tune to perfectly merge together. They're just too far off. On a street tune, you shouldn't really tow more than like maybe 8,000 pounds. And I think you're kind of pushing it around 8, depending on what terrain you're towing on. Like if you really have a tough tow up hills, it's probably not going to be a great idea. So like I said, Bless Performance has been really recommended a lot on the channel. I've had a lot of questions about them. Haven't reviewed them yet, but I do plan to. So I would probably give them a shot. Again, Warren Diesel's probably a Truck Source Diesel. I can't believe I forgot about Truck Source Diesel. Truck Source Diesel has some really good tunes as well. So Warren, Truck Source Diesel, and Bless Performance would be my top 3 recommendations. I've only ran Truck Source Diesel, and I've had a great experience with them. Excellent customer service, and I really do enjoy their tunes. So those would probably be the best place to try. And if you tell the tuners what you're looking for, they will. Darn bugs. They can kind of try to find you some middle ground. If you're saying, hey, I want a really hot tow tune because I like a little more power, and I don't tow super heavy, but when I do, I need to be able to come out of it. You know, maybe you can get like a 60, 70 horsepower tow tune that might kind of be close enough in the middle of what you're looking for to appease it, yet give you the safety while towing as well. So I would definitely reach out to those tuners. Let's see here. Let's get caught back up down here in the comment section. When it's in park, you can roll the truck back and forth almost a foot. It could be in your transmission. Ryan, I just saw that now. I don't know if you sent that earlier, but that's definitely something I would consider maybe dropping your transmission pan and getting some fresh fluid in it, see what your transmission pan looks like, man. Let's see here. Jose. Change the oil cooler recently because I had 20-degree depth. Jose, are you taken care of? I'm not sure if I'm trying to get caught up in here on the comments, man. Ryan, no problem, man. Glad I could help. JR, if you stage 2 your turbo and injectors with proper tuning, what transmission upgrades are needed, rebuilt or new built? So JR, first thing I need to know is what is a stage, like what size injector is a stage 2? I know some people do stages, and really the only way that stage is of any super value to a lot of other people is if we know the company doing it. So like Full Force Diesel does a lot of staging of their stuff, and that's one thing, but like Warren Diesel doesn't do stages on their injectors. So if you can tell me what stage injector that is, And I'm assuming you're referencing like a TurboTime USA turbo for stage 2 or a KC turbo, which are going to be very similar power-wise. I can kind of work with that, but I just need to know what size injector you're talking about. And we'll just assume all supporting mods for whatever you say there. And we can get into that question. Warren 7K is warranty. Sounds awesome, but doesn't mention warranty and federation. Anyone ever use them? Mike, I know. Oh, wait, Mike, we've already talked about this. Warranty, I don't know. And again, I would encourage you to reach out to the guys at KC Turbo. Yes, I know I am. I am sponsored by TurboTime USA, and I love them. But I'm not going to ignore that KC is an excellent company that's done great stuff. I've spoken with Charlie a few times, and he's a great guy and very professional. So I would encourage you, Mike, to send him an email over, or ask him on Facebook and on any of the sites that he's on. He's a great guy, and he will definitely take care of you. Or you could also reach out to Warren Diesel as well. But I know a lot of guys that are very serious with racing run KC Turbo, or not KC Turbo. Well, yes, a lot of people run KC Turbo, but Warren Diesel transmissions, along with Twisted as well. Man, a little indigestion today. But those are great, all great transmissions. So my cousin ran that tune and it blew his head gaskets. Jose, while I will say, anytime you tune any truck, you're going to increase failures of other parts. So in the 6-liter, they're susceptible to blowing head gaskets. I know some people get super upset when they hear this, but it does happen. But nonetheless, in the 6-liter world, if you increase power, there's always byproducts of this. So it's like if you increase horsepower without anything else, you're going to also increase soot. You're going to also increase cylinder pressure. Now, sure, there's tuning that can minimize that to a degree, but no matter what, at some point you need to increase cylinder pressure. So and I'm no professional on all that stuff, so please don't hang me out to dry for anything that could be skewed a little bit. But there are certain things. Quick Tricks is a pretty respected company. I know someone personally that ran their stuff, and they were good tunes. They definitely were hot. His toe tune ripped pretty good, and he had a 350 dually, and that truck was a monster. But to say they blew his head gaskets, sure, was it a cause? But it's a 6-liter. It's going to happen no matter what. Grab my hoodie here, guys. For those of you that weren't here in the beginning, making 6.0 great again. Hoodies are available at Teespring. That's the back, and on the front, 6.0 Bros. And I really am liking Teespring, guys. They have very good quality of stuff. So I do encourage you to check them out if you're looking for some 6.0 Bro merch. Also, guys, we're at 17 people in here, which is awesome. 18 people in here, which is awesome. Can we hit the like button now? Let's get over how many people are in here on the likes. Let me just pop back, make sure we're not missing anything. And say, is it only puffing white smoke at startup? When was your last coolant flush? So, Jose, I want to talk about this white smoke that you're getting from your 6.0. Doom is, I'm with Doom here. So is it, when you start it, do you get like a puff of white smoke and then it kind of clears up? Or do you get a pretty steady, like several minutes of white smoke over a time? I'm going to say if you're getting a puff of white smoke, I would check stuff, but I wouldn't get, Ryan, I don't know why we're, I hope that's a good thing, Ryan, whatever that is, and not a bad thing. But if you're just getting a puff of white smoke, on my 6-liter, when I ran Windrunner Performance engineering tunes, I don't know why, I always got a puff of white smoke at the start of it. And then no issues. If I switched tuning, the puff went away. When I went back to Windrunner, it came back. But the tunes... But I'll do that too. I was hoping it wasn't the trans. It's just it doesn't slip. Fingers crossed. It's just the rear end. Yeah. Well, so Ryan, that would be my next. That would be my next step. Is I would. Well, I mean, I'd do one or the other. Your transmission or your rear diff. I would definitely check your transmission fluid, which you don't need to do anything on. But your rear diff, most people ignore making sure that that stuff's all taken care of. So it wouldn't hurt to just do a quick. I can't even think of it. Do some maintenance back there. Take the rear pan off, clean all the fluid out, clean anything out in there. Give it a good inspection. Make sure nothing looks like it's overly worn or excessive metal shavings in there. That's my sister. She's inside. She's a struggle to live with. I can see her. So you guys can't see as my mom and my sister are in there watching the live stream. Anyway, so anyway, so do some maintenance on the rear diff would probably be your cheapest bet. And then I'd go from there and I would go to the transmission if that doesn't resolve it. Or like I said, jack that rear end up and spin everything, make sure that there's no issues there. Because you have a lot of people kind of forget that you have wheel bearings in your rear end just like you do on your front. Just they're a little different. We have a video on this for Josh's truck, which is actually an 04 Ryan, so that'd be good for you. On rear diff stuff, or not rear diff stuff, on rear axle stuff. We pull his axles, get new wheel bearings and oil slingers in there and everything. So definitely something. Yeah, just so everyone knows, he passed up his sister buying him dinner. Yeah. See, here's the beauty is I can delete that comment. Remove. And we're going to remove another one. She's out of control. Anyway, so back to the conversation at hand here. I feel like I'm missing something. I kind of jumped around. I don't do well when I jump around like that. All right, so Jose, you said yours was smoking for like 5 minutes consecutively. So I want to say I would check your exhaust and see if it's wet. If your exhaust is wet, I would turn around and I would say you have a turbo issue. I've seen this before where I had a buddy with a 6-liter and he had like this steady, it was bad at startup because oil was kind of sitting there. It started burning off. And then, but he never really got rid of this smoke, but it wasn't like an injector where it's just these clouds of smoke. It was just a steady like haze the entire time he drove and his exhaust was soaked. That is a turbo issue. But if you're not having that symptom, if your exhaust is dry, you're not having that, I'm going to say you have a likely EGR failure. I think I heard you say you had 20-degree deltas up here. Excuse me. And if that's the case, I'm going to say you likely have an EGR failure and you should change that sooner than later. I would definitely go with an upgraded one so you don't have this issue again. And I feel pretty confident in that. I mean, I could be wrong, but if I understand your situation correctly, I would definitely lean you have an EGR failure that needs done. Doom, spot on, brother. Guys, we have 19 thumbs up and 20 people in here. Let's fix that. Mom said she agrees with that statement. He replaced EGR. Oh, he already replaced the EGR because, oh, well. Jose, you're on top of things, brother, because that's all right, that's a little different. Then I would start, I'd probably pressure test your degas bottle then. So that would be the next step. To check that, it could be a cracked cylinder head. You could have a cracked cylinder head and that could be leaking. It could be very, very slight and maybe just dripping a little bit of coolant into the combustion chamber, and then we're seeing that. But if it sits overnight as that pressure decreases, maybe we're seeing that then instead where, So if you have a cracked cylinder head and it's leaking a little bit of coolant, it'll give you a little bit of a haze, but nothing noticeable afterwards. But when it gets to sit overnight, the pressure in the cooling system will come down and it'll probably push coolant into the combustion chamber. So when you start it, you'll get a big puff or two of the smoke, or well, probably more than one or two, depending on how much is in there, because that would make sense to me. It could leak out into your exhaust manifold from there too, depending on where the position of your piston is. Yeah, that's where I would go. Excuse me, it wouldn't leak depending on where your piston is. It would leak depending on where the crack is, excuse me. Oh, he didn't replace the EGR cooler. Oh, oil cooler. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I heard you say EGR. My bad. Then I take everything I just said back. I think he should replace his EGR cooler. Is he still in here? I hope he is. I feel bad. I feel like I didn't mean to kind of ignore him there while I was answering other questions, but is JR still in here? He had a question about injectors and turbo and all those good stuff, all that good stuff. Edgar, I do see. I'm going to get with you in just a second. I want to make sure I'm not ignoring people. I guess we'll go to Edgar's question while we wait for JR and Jose to respond with anything further. So you've got a weird squeal under a lot of boost. It's not an exhaust leak. Sounds like maybe the turbo. Runs fine otherwise, but never floor it because of this. So, Edgar, I think you do have a turbo issue. I had a really weird noise come from my turbo. So when I first did the cam, we're going way back, like 2 years now. I kept my factory turbo because I'd spent enough darn money at that time. But 190/30 injectors. All right, JR, I can work with that. There will need to be some, because you're kind of in the red zone a little bit on the transmission. But let's talk about Edgar's issue first, and then we will go to yours. So with the squealing sound, I didn't really notice any difference in how my turbo performed at all, except I was getting ready to go. I forget if I was going to race or if I was going to go to the dyno. I was driving like a goofball on a back road, and when I got in it, like doing a boosted launch, I think I did both of them actually pretty close together. That may have been it. But when I would do a boosted launch on a back road and I was full throttle in it, I'd get this absurdly loud squeal, a terrible, terrible grinding-ish noise coming from my turbo. And when I pulled the turbo out and took it apart, I mean, I found pieces. There's a video of it somewhere. I just demolished my turbo. The vanes, some of them didn't even look like vanes. They had chunks of metal missing. The turbine wheel had chunks taken out of it. So it very well could be. Now, that is also assuming that, again, you verified that you don't have an exhaust leak. There isn't a boost leak anywhere that could cause something similar of a squeal. Your intercooler is fine. So I would check all those things very, very well before you mess with your turbo, because a turbo is much more expensive than any part I just listed. So check your back firewall for any soot that might be on there. Feel around the plastic. If you have any plastic, like the intercooler pipes, the cold side on some years is plastic. Make sure to change that. No matter what, even if you don't have an issue, change that plastic piece. They are garbage. Intercoolers do go on these sometimes, so keep that in mind. I would just check them. Sometimes you can, if you pull back everyone sets their tools on like that little valance in the front right after the grill. You can pull that back and kind of look, see if there's a gasket popping out. Check the intercooler for holes as well. But then if you check all that stuff, then I would say there's a good chance, yeah, it's a issue with your turbo. And to which I guess this is probably a great time to talk about my sponsor, TurboTime USA. And I'm quick getting their website with a coupon code up to send you. That's weird. There we go. Now it came up. It didn't come up at first. That was kind of upsetting. But get it down here. What's your hold on. Edgar, what is your overall build? We can talk turbos with you and what might be a good option for you to consider. It does sound like you might have a turbo, but check those other things first before you spend the money on a turbo. And then where is he here? So JR 190/30 injectors, you know, stage 2 turbo, regardless of which one, whether it be, I'm assuming KC or TurboTime USA. So KC's stage 2, just so we can clarify turbo size. They both utilize the PowerMax 10 blade or 03 10 blade turbine wheel. The KC is going to be 64.7 millimeter compressor wheel, and the TurboTime USA is going to be 64 millimeter compressor wheel. So very similar size, slightly different. I know both of them use different exducer sizes on the compressor wheel as well, which is the larger measurement on the compressor wheel, not the measurement everyone gives you. So there's a lot of information out there if you want to know why that measurement might be important. But overall, it's very similar size turbos. So regardless, that doesn't really matter. So a 190/30 injector, now this is assuming you have a healthy high pressure oil pump without leaks going on and that you have enough fuel to maintain at least 50 PSI. I would say when you're larger, 50 PSI is kind of your bare minimum. I know 45 is what they say, but I would feel better at 50 PSI personally on an injector that size. So, and that's kind of another interesting topic to get into later down the road. But 190/30s will net you about 580 to 600 horsepower, depending on dyno and overall health of the system. So assuming everything's healthy, let's say 590 horsepower in that ballpark range. And your transmission is going to, the biggest thing I think people lose transmissions over 500 horsepower. And this includes myself. I think this is why my transmission started failing, is lack of maintenance. I had not changed the transmission fluid in 100,000 miles, and I started racing and doing numerous dyno events, plus a lot of, excuse me, a lot of driving on back roads, getting ready for certain things, like doing boosted launches. I'm trying to think. I don't think there was really too many burnouts, to be honest. But I was doing a lot of pretty hard driving on the truck. So the biggest thing I think you can do is drop your transmission pan, get fresh fluid in it, make sure everything, get a 6.4 filter for it. Also change the little toilet paper filter as well, even though it doesn't do as much as the filter in there in the transmission does, but change both. Get a thick flanged transmission pan. That'll add a little extra fluid to it, but it also gives the transmission case rigidity, which will make sure that you don't develop the 3 to 5 shift flare, which is kind of a habit of the transmission torque. There's so much power going through it. It's such a long transmission that it has an ability to flex. So that thicker case of the deep dish transmission pans that have like the, half-inch, quarter-inch thick flange is going to give rigidity to the case and prevent some of that from happening. So I'd say that would be the biggest thing you could do. You could also look at I have a Transgo shift kit in mine as well. Again, you want to make sure your tuner is all aware of these things you're doing in your tuning. But I would say those are the biggest things you can do for your transmission. The factory 6-liter already comes with a triple disc torque converter. It's not billet, but it is a triple disc. So I wouldn't worry about that. My sister drives me insane. So I think those would kind of be my starting point. And having a 590 horsepower truck doesn't mean you're going to go through a transmission. If you have the capability to hit 590, but you prefer to drive on a mild straight tune, that might be 520, which is still a lot of power to daily drive. Don't let anyone tell you differently. You're probably not going to have issues. If you drive normally and only get in it every now and then, you're probably going to be fine. If you're doing burnouts and boosted launches left and right and just being having fun constantly or kind of being a little absurd, yeah, you're going to lose your transmission. But you're going to minimize those if you do those maintenance items we talked about, and it's not going to be as likely to happen. So while those injectors, again, probably upwards of 590 horsepower capable, which will put you over 1,000 pound-feet of torque, but if you're not in it all the time, you're going to be fine. So I wouldn't worry too much if you're in that area. It really depends on your driving style and how you're doing with that. So that would be what I would consider there. And JR, if there's a question or aspect you want me to kind of go more into, I can. I do plan to have a transmission service video coming out in the near future to talk about some stuff there. I just haven't done it yet. How reliable is a 6.0 without bulletproofing the engine? That's kind of a hard question to answer because a lot of it depends on maintenance. They are overall good engines. Typically, you don't need major engine repair till like 350,000 miles. Again, that's dependent on maintenance. That can be much sooner. It can be much later. You'll probably need head gaskets, but in that time span, I recommend Kill Devil Diesel and ARP head studs. But I've seen they're so all over the place. It's hard to answer. Overall, it's a great engine. You might need to do head gaskets. That's going to be the biggest thing. I have a video out. First things to do to your 6.0 Powerstroke when you buy one, and I would recommend watching it because it's going to answer a lot of these questions for you in pretty great detail. And I think you'll probably find that video pretty helpful, and it has links to other videos as well. It talks about your oil cooler when it fails, taking out EGR coolers, and why that's a concern that can lead to head gasket failure. So it talks a lot about fuel pressure issues and your injector health and why you should monitor fuel pressure in a 6.0. Even though it's not a factory sensor, getting a test port on there and getting a gauge so you know exactly what your fuel pressure is to prevent those. It's a lot of little things like that that'll prevent you from having some of the issues that people know the 6.0 for. Making sure that your charging system is working well and that you have hold on, it'll come to me. Make sure your batteries aren't draining your aren't killing your FICM, and that your alternator's keeping your battery charged so your FICM works correctly. A lot of these things boil down to a few people being negligent, really, I guess, with their maintenance on their truck. Let's see here. Then you can start with upgrades like the Blackwood steering wheel. Robert, I do want to look more into that Blackwood steering wheel because my steering wheel in my 6.0 is a little rough looking and could use replaced. Heck, my steering wheel in my 6.7 could be replaced, to be honest. One of your older videos last night with the Mishimoto, how is it holding up? And you said something about seeing a slight drop in temps. Doom, I'm going to assume, you ran two different Mishimoto not intercoolers. I never ran their intercoolers, radiators. So the first one I got was super cheap. It was like $350 $350. I did verify that it was that the Amazon seller was a certified dealer for Mishimoto. They did confirm that, so no issues there. I bought it because they said, hey, honestly, the only issue you might have is a slight increase in trans temps. I told them I was willing to take that. They told me like it wouldn't be more than 10 degrees. I was willing to take that risk because I planned to do a transmission cooler upgrade anyway. And the first one turned out when I went on a tow, bombed awfully. It was terrible. I was super frustrated. They did send me the performance radiator for free, and I'd say it honestly overall performs similar to stock. I don't think if you can get a Motorcraft radiator for the same price as the Mishimoto, honestly, I'd get the Ford Motorcraft one over the Mishimoto, especially if it's cheaper. The performance one, if you want that gold, if you want the big aluminum, brushed aluminum there, or not, I guess it's more of a polished aluminum. When you open the hood, go Mishimoto. But I wouldn't get the cheap one. I get the performance one. And other than that, I have no complaints. But I don't feel it's like this vast improvement over factory. I think it's about the same as factory, despite what they tell you. No soot. Boots are holding good. Going to take the intake off. Check the wheel. So Edgar, what you want to do? Check the edges of the blades on the compressor wheel. Look for any bending or like rounding of them. Also, grab the center of the impeller, and you're going to check for in and out play on your turbo. So push it in and out. If you have a lot of play there, then yeah, you're going to probably have it. Then you definitely have a turbo issue, and you need to start looking at turbos. There is a link to my sponsor in the description, TurboTime USA, with an affiliate link that'll give you 5% off their custom turbos or their performance turbos. I highly, highly, highly recommend them. So here's your build. So your studded, deleted stock injectors, late tune, 300,000 miles, hardly any black smoke. Truck runs and pulls great. Edgar sounds like a nice little build. I like it. And great mileage, 300,000. So my question is, how old is the turbo on there? Because 300. So I made it about 180,000 miles on my factory turbo. Then I was running, like I was pushing it to like 35, 36 psi boost, estimated. Because the computer stops accurately reading at 28 psi. But yeah, no, that turbo was not happy. But it was a lot of fun until it decided to go out. Then it kind of sucked. But yeah, look for in and out play. You'll get some up and down play because there's not oil lubricating the bearings. And that's kind of part of the thing. So look for in and out play on there. Now, with what build you have here, honestly, I'd be looking at, unless you plan to go bigger injectors down the road, I'd be looking at their stage 1 or stage 2 turbos for your build. The stage 1 is just a slight upgrade. It's 61 millimeters in size. It has 10-blade turbine wheel, so you get that nice 6.0 whistle. It's also great at keeping your temps down while towing. I love the 10-blade for towing. But that would be one upgrade, or you could go to their stage 2, which is a 64 millimeter turbo, and it's a great all-around turbo. It is more turbo than you need for the injectors. You will be able to run lower boost numbers because it'll flow so much more air than the factory turbo, so that's a plus. But you will pick up a little more lag over the 61 millimeter turbo, so bear that in mind. But check out TurboTime USA down in the description. Again, it's an affiliate link. It does benefit the channel, so I do appreciate all that. And let's see here. We'll go from here. About how much would it cost to bulletproof? Eddie, anytime, man. That's what we're here for. Always feel free to ask on any videos, any questions. I've seen, so bulletproof is a very overused term when it comes to 6 liters. So, because there's bulletproof diesel, I know they get super sensitive if they hear anyone say bulletproofed, because they apparently own the phrase. But they have because they came up with they coined a lot of stuff off that. So bulletproof typically currently is referred to a head stud job, which if you're just having your heads machined and checked out and everything's fine with them, I would always get O-rings personally. I just don't think it's just for the machine works $400 to $500 to have O-rings done and the wire put in. And it just only adds reliability, provided you're at a shop that's good at installing them. You won't have any issues. But then it's going to probably be $4,500, $5,000, give or take. But then there's certain shops like Super Duty Service that when you go to his shop, you get a full rebuilt. You're going to spend a lot more than that. But, I mean, your entire engine is machined and everything is spec'd out. It goes back together perfectly. Much more involved process. I will say you could also buy a Kill Devil Diesel engine. You could buy a full long block from one of the best builders in the game. And that is going to, I think they're starting around $7,000 before shipping. So there's a lot of options there. For most people, if their truck's running good, I honestly recommend getting a set of Kill Devil Diesel cylinder heads. They're iron ones. They're $2,300. Their aluminum ones flow a little more. They're $3,200. They're a little lighter. They flow a little more. So there's that. They always come O-ring from them, fully assembled. You can't just buy a casting from them. Everything's fully assembled, ready to go. Again, and perfect. That would be my route. Is I'd recommend buying a set of Kill Devil Diesel iron heads. and having and selling your old heads as cores, you might be able to make $500-600 off them as long as they're good. And then I'd ARP stud it and call it a day. And I think that's the best route for most people. Now, again, though, you're probably talking, provided that's not including if you can sell your old cylinder heads, but you're probably talking $6,000, maybe more. Let's see here. I would love a new steering wheel. I always hate the look of the stock one. Man, yeah, I do think they're good steering wheels all in all. They're just a little too plain, I think. But I do overall like it. For the time, they were nice. If you're going to do head gases, recommend do lifters too. Not for me, just curious. So, Mike, so here's the one thing with doing lifters is I was dead set. I did lifters on mine, but I kind of had everything going over on mine. It's a lot of extra work because the rear cover has to come off the engine to pull out the rear two lifters on each side. So is it a good thing to consider? Yes. Is it 100% necessary? No. I personally think if you're going to replace lifters, you should replace the cam and cam bearings and get new push rods. Updated push rods is another thing. Making sure to get the new lower, shorter length ones would be very helpful as well. Let's see here. Doom, yeah, the performance one is a pretty good radiator from Mishimoto. Don't waste your time on the cheaper one. It is garbage. And honestly, like I said, if you can get a Motorcraft radiator for cheaper, I'd go that route personally. And that's part of why I started the channel. I wanted to test some of these products. You see all these claims out here. I wanted to test it and put information out there for people to know. No, Nick, we still got water here. Depending on how long this live stream goes, I wanted to make sure I had ample hydration. So we got a few things around here to drink. I got an energy drink over here, some triple hops brewed stuff as well. A little different question here. AC doesn't turn off anymore and stays in defrost no matter what mode I put it in. Any idea what would be the cause of that? So as far as so you have a vacuum leak issue and maybe a stuck door. So I don't know why your AC is not turning on. That could be a relay issue. I'd probably look into that. But it sounds like your vacuum typically when it only stays on defrost, whether it's heat or AC, and you can't change it, you have a vacuum leak. Excuse me, you have a bad vacuum pump typically. That is on the passenger side firewall. It's a little black. It's only like this big. It's very small. Look up vacuum pumps on like Rock Auto. My brother, his went out. He bought a cheap one. They're like $15-20 or something like that a couple years ago. Popped it in, fixed the issue, no more problem. So I would start there. We definitely know that's wrong. And then I'd probably double check like if you have a relay issue or something that's not shutting off your AC compressor. It could also be that that the vacuum's not there, so it can't move the doors to shut stuff off and on. So Chris, did I miss Chris's first question? Coming back here. It's been a few questions. I could have missed it. Chris, I do not know what... Oh, wait. No, I still have no idea. Never mind. Chris, I have no idea what it does at 10 pounds of boost, not at idle. Oh, my phone is dying. That's not a big deal. Edgar, 120 miles on this turbo. Edgar, you only have 120 miles on the turbo. Stage 1 10-blade turbo with your link. I run arch oil and fuel and oil religiously. Edgar, arch oil is great. Edgar, I'm going to also assume you have more than 120 miles. 120,000. Now I see it. Okay, I was getting a little worried. Like, hold on, we need to find another problem here. One thing people don't always check out, sometimes the turbo drain gets clogged and can't drain oil enough. So it might not be a bad idea to get a new Ford. Don't get the cheap knockoff ones. Go get a Ford one. They're not that expensive. Oil feed tube and oil drain tube, just to make sure that you're getting enough oil to the turbo to prevent any failures and you're draining enough out as well. And also, thank you for considering the Stage 1 Turbo. I think you'll love it, man. Turbo Time USA makes a heck of a product. I've really enjoyed working with them. And plus, again, when you guys buy from them with my link, it does benefit the channel so we can keep making content. Obviously, this content's free. This is just me hanging out with some of the subscribers. This is always fun for me to do, so I do enjoy it. Doom, how are you liking Hot Shot Secrets? I've considered trying them in the past. Someone from them reached out to me before the pandemic started, and then I haven't heard from them since. You are the modern day diesel tech, Ron. You truly helping and saving. Hey, man, thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I don't think I hold a candle to Diesel Tech Ron. I still think it's one of the worst losses that we've seen in the 6-liter community because he did so much. But thank you. That's very humbling to hear that you feel I'm on his level. I don't feel I am, but we're going to keep striving to make better and better content. But thank you very much. Also, guys, I haven't said it just in case because I have no idea who's coming in and out. Guys, it's upside down. My hoodie. Making 6.0s great again. And then the front just has 6.0 bros. This is the Teespring link in the description. If you're interested in that, we got t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies. Sorry, I'm keeping it on the chair over there so I can show you guys every now and then. The merch is a lot of fun, and it's just kind of meant to be fun. It's not meant to be any political statement or anything, but I think it's funny making 6.0s great again. Someone earlier had referenced it should be Kill Devil Diesel's slogan. I agree. He does such great work. Yeah, Doom. I was talking to somebody that's having some issues with their truck, and they were looking at running. Arch Oil now has like a daily treatment thing to use and like a deep clean one. And I think we're probably going to, if Josh lets me do some stuff with his truck for this tuning with Blessed Performance, I think I'm probably going to buy him that stuff and run it through and get him a fresh oil change before we do anything. So, but yeah, definitely fuel treatments, especially in 6 liters, is super important. I do think it has value in all of the diesel engines out there, but definitely in 6 liters, I think specifically it has a lot of benefits. So, but I'm gonna quick check the comments here, make sure I'm not. I've also seen on mine the 4-wheel drive valve by the passenger battery gets stuck and dumps vacuum. Oh, good. I have not heard of that, man, but that's a good one to check out. So double check those. Was that Chris? Tyler, definitely check that, man. Chris, if you're still in here, what only does this whining noise after 10 pounds of boost, not at idle? I'm assuming it's your turbo. Making 6 is great, finally. It's quick. I know you definitely will like that one. Check it. We have I tried giving, so with the Teespring, it's a lot easier to use. Don't get me wrong, it is more expensive of a product, but the quality is much higher than the Amazon stuff. I still like the Amazon stuff, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make that stuff cheaper so that people can, if you want to support the channel, it might not be as much, but if you want to rock 6.0 bro gear, I want to make sure people have that might not be able to afford some of the stuff on Teespring. So I think the Amazon stuff's going to come down in price in the next month or two, and the Teespring stuff's going to stay right where it's at. But I can use coupon codes and discount codes for the Teespring website. So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to have a Black Friday sale. I'm super excited about that. And we're going to have, I think starting in October, So I'm going to take a break for about 9 days in October. I'm going to take a mini vacation and do some work on my camper. I might film some stuff. I don't think you guys will really be into it, so I probably won't do much, but I might film a thing or two. But when I come back from live stream to live streaming after that short break in, again, it'll be around the 5th through the 9th is mainly, and then the weekends around that will be my time off. We're going to start doing, to help bring people into the live streams, we're going to start doing like 24-hour coupon codes for like free shipping and maybe even some discounts besides the shipping on our stuff there. So just some things to consider, guys. I really want to push the brand and what we're trying to do there, and hopefully get you guys rocking some merch. Honestly, I would rather you guys buy merchandise than even give me a super chat, because I feel you guys get something when you buy merchandise. For a super chat, you just get listening to me talk more. So, OJ, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Let's see here. I think it's quick. I knew you. It's quick. How have you been, man? I feel like it's been a while. Hope you're doing well, brother. But I know you would like that. I forget who was talking to me about making 6.0s great again. It's come up before today. I know that. I got the premium hoodie. I got the classic hoodie. I got a premium T-shirt, and I got a classic T-shirt. It's what I personally bought. So, and I like all of them. The quality is excellent. The print is perfect. Excuse me. I've washed them, and it's not like they shrink up super small. So I really enjoy them, and it's nice stuff. It does take a little longer to get to you, so that kind of stinks. But again, it is good stuff. I think you'll like it. The premium hoodie is a little thinner than the classic hoodie, but they're both really comfortable and warm. The T-shirts, I don't have a favorite between the two. I like them both differently. I wouldn't say one's thicker than the other. They're just different materials. But I like all of them. I'm happy I own all of them. And I'm definitely going to keep buying more. I have the SOB line too, which just has SOB and then 6.0 Bros underneath it. So I thought that was kind of humorous. But like I said in a previous video, I have the sense of humor of a small child sometimes. So what is that telling you? I was using RevX when I first got my 6.0. I honestly couldn't tell a difference. I've heard RevX helps, but I heard that it takes like a couple thousand miles to tell. Whereas I feel Arch Oil is relatively instantaneous as far as telling a difference in how the truck's running and how your injectors are firing. Also on Teespring, we have the original Turbo logo, which is 6.0 Bros in it. So we kind of have everything there. The blue spring mod and a good oil additive will keep your injectors happy. Ain't that the truth? While also making sure that you have enough fuel pressure to keep your injectors happy as well. Nick, there is a chance for that. I haven't, so I don't have any time set aside for designing any new apparel right now. Probably something I work on in another week or two. I'm trying to set every couple weeks time aside to design stuff. So if you guys are saying you want an SOB front and a making 6.0s great again in the back, I will make that happen. Was that the EPA again? No, it's my sister being weird. I don't really know what. Yeah, it's just my sister being weird. All right, so it looks like we need to bring the SOB front and the making 6.0 Bros great, or making 6.0 Bros great, making 6.0s great again back. Looks like that's going to have to be the next shirt to come out. Archer will help quiet my injectors and save me having to replace them last winter. Yeah, Mike, I got to tell you, Arch Oil is impressive. I had contribution codes coming up. But with Arch Oil, I was able to go like another 2 years before one finally failed. And honestly, what definitely made it fail is I had low fuel pressure and didn't realize it. And also then a cracked cylinder head. So I had issues left and right. Mike, you're not the only one to request a zip up hoodie. I will probably have to, the back I can do a 6. So I also thought about for a back design. And then Chris, I see this message here about your initial messages not going through. We're going to get to you in just a second, brother. Mike, if your wife is interested in helping design stuff, if you guys could send me an email, or if you go to the about page on my YouTube. Honestly, I am interested in people. If there's people that want to be involved, I definitely want to keep making new stuff and cooler stuff. I'd like to kind of get something that has like a legitimate turbo, like a 3D designed turbo on the back. But if she is interested, I would be honored to have a subscriber help with stuff. But with the zipper hoodie, excuse me, Mike, so injectors, yeah, it took me a couple years before I had to replace them. And again, I found I had low fuel pressure. Jordan's back, unfortunately. So Chris, so you have an 0560 full bulletproof. You have a new KC turbo. I'm getting a whining noise after 10 pounds of boost. Jordan has been very supportive lately. She bought 4 products off of my Teespring account. So I was super excited about that. But yeah, Jordan, ladies and gentlemen. My whole family has to deal with me doing this YouTube stuff, so I guess I can't complain too much. Doom, don't you support her. You know who makes content, not her. But though Jordan did come out, what race? The time I got the white truck in the 13s for the first time, Jordan came out and she took some pictures and shots of the truck, and she came out and hung out. So that was fun. It was cool to have people there. Actually, I think there was like 5 or 6 people came out to see me. It was that was really cool and humbling to have people actually come out to see me and hang out. Nick, you continue to refer to my sister as the EPA. That is a mandate. So Chris, so you have a wine. Jordan, Google the EPA. You should know this. It's a government agency that's known for vast overreach and doesn't actually report to anybody. They basically have limitless authority. It's a liberal policy. It's awful. But that's what you need to know. They're terrible. They're anti-diesel. They're anti-anything fun, really. But Jordan's EPA. So KC Turbo, Chris, let's talk about this. So first I want to say I don't think you have any issue with your turbo. If I had to guess the wine you're getting, does it almost sound like you're getting like almost like a tea kettle like coming to boil? All right, so Chris, answer that. Does it sound like, is it like a loud squeal there? Change the degas bottle. Yeah, I think it's probably related to how your turbo's hooked up. Nick, don't apologize. Do not apologize. Guys, I'm sure I'm going to lose at least half of the 14 of you in here, but I need to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to quick run to the bathroom, and I'm going to be right back. And we're going to continue at least for another hour and a half on this. So please, guys, don't go anywhere. I will be right back. If somebody comes in and goes, "What's with the empty screen?" please, in the comments, let them know where I am. I'll be right back, guys. All right, guys. Hey, I only lost one person. That's not too bad. All right, sorry about that, guys. I've drank an obnoxious amount of caffeine today. So, Chris and fuel pump, yes to the question. Chris, have you tested for a boost leak? Yeah, Chris, so I think you either have a boost leak or you have, there could be an issue in your up pipes. Use the edge of the porch. Yeah, I thought about it and then was like, it would probably be a really fast way for me to get the video demonetized or a strike for doing something for God knows what YouTube would classify it as. But I don't think being off the porch over here would be a good thing for the channel. I think I'd probably get in trouble for that one. But Chris, so it definitely could be. It could be one of the bellows in your Y pipe, or Chris. Quick question. So, do you have? Are you running an EGR still? Is my next question before I can help point you in a good product direction for a Y pipe. So you're still running EGR. So BD Diesel, the bulletproof one. So I'm going to actually get a link up here for you. I'm going to try to find this on Amazon. And basically, double check stuff. Don't just turn around and buy this yet. Make sure you actually need it before you go buy it. Why isn't the BDY pipe coming up on Amazon? Well, the delete one is, but the the one with the provision is not. So anyway, BD Diesel, I love their Y pipe. I think it is overall the nicest setup out there, and they do make. Assuming you have the square style EGR cooler, is my assumption. As long as you have the square style EGR cooler, the BD Diesel one is what I would purchase. So, but double check everything. Look for soot. It could be that just the flange that mounts to the turbo isn't mounted correctly. So don't just go replace this unless you want to upgrade. But if you do need to upgrade, I would go with BD Diesel and their Y pipe. Well, this is not the exact one because this doesn't have the EGR provision, but essentially it looks like this. And it is just a really, really nice piece. It is hands down, in my opinion, the nicest one. Now, this is an affiliate link. I have to post that with it. So, but again, double check stuff. Don't just go buy a part. Make sure you actually have an issue. It could just be that flange isn't mounted perfectly up against the turbo before you do it. Excuse me, before you hook it up to it. Chris, are you running custom tunes? Would be my next question. I see you say you're only getting 25 pounds of boost. I will say this: it sounds like you probably have either a boost leak or an exhaust leak from the sound that you're describing. Man, I got behind here. You guys. I'm sorry, fuel pump, yes to the question. Use the edge of the porch. Chris, boost leaks. EPA equals enthusiast, power administrative. They love making our lives great. What power can the stock 5R handle? So it's pretty, it's a stock 5R as long as it's maintained and taken care of, meaning you drop the transmission pan every like 40, 50,000 miles, get fresh fluid in, get a fresh filter in. About 500, they say. I think you can get away with upwards of 600 if you're not beating on the transmission. So you're not doing burnouts, you're not doing boosted launches left and right. You probably get away with a little bit more, but 500 is kind of considered where you're good. Again, it really depends how hard you are on it to begin with. Chris, no problem, man. If you ever need anything else, please let me know. Happy to be here and help you guys out. I have an 0560 excursion transmission flare between 3.5. Anyone have luck with Fickham repair, trans solenoid, and dummy plug fix? So Charlie, so we were talking about kind of cool that transmissions have come up so much because there's a lot more to them than people realize. And I do really like the 5Rs. First off, is a great transmission. The issues with the 3 to 5 flare. So there's a few things you can do. So first, before we can talk about fixing a 3 to 5 flare, we need to understand why we get a 3 to 5 flare. So part of it is the 5R transmission is long. It is a massive transmission. If you look at a Dodge transmission, like a Dodge transmission looks like it belongs out of a Caravan. Part of that's because it literally is a transmission out of a Caravan with a different torque converter. The older ones are. Anyway, I digress. But the 5R is massive. It's long. And what happens is as you get but it's funny, right, Tyler? Hey, it's just a fact. The older transmission that came in the Ram was literally the same transmission as a Dodge Caravan with a different torque converter and probably a different pan. So like that's garbage. Anyway, I digress. We're talking about Fords and quality products here. The NV 4500 I hear is a great transmission, though. I'll give you that. Anyway, so we get the 3 to 5 shift flare. Part of that is because there's little ports inside the transmission. They all need to line up with transmission flow. They need to line up so that everything works smoothly. What happens with this massive transmission is you get this case flare, or hold on. I can't think of the word. There's flex. There's flex in the case. So some of the ways you can fight that are there's parts internally in my transmission that have been beefed up. The no walk center support from Suncoast is one, but that's expensive to get to. You can't just pop that in there. But I do have mine in there. Everyone has a center support inside, but I use the Suncoast one on my build. But other ways you can do that when you first off dropping the pan and getting fresh fluid and using a 6.4 filter in there will be a nice upgrade. But get a deep dish pan bolted on there as well. That thick flange and that big cast case will help provide rigidity to it over. So don't just get the OEM 6.4 pan. Get a like Magtech or BD Diesel is what. So I run a BD Diesel one on my 6.0. I'll probably run a Magtech Transpan on my 6.7. But the long and short, AFE makes one. There's a whole bunch out there. I think, well, I have my Amazon up. I'll show you exactly what I mean. But 5R, what that'll do, what that cast aluminum piece will do is it gives rigidity to the case. And it'll help prevent that flex that you get. So when you can prevent that and it not be as significant, you're going to be able to prevent some of that. Oh, wow, that's pretty decent price with a filter. This is the AFE one. And here's the thing, guys, is which ones you get with these, it really doesn't matter. As long as it has that thick flange and it's a cast piece, you're not going to have any issues with it, and it'll help. I have to remember how to spell a fill link. There we go. So now they do have, I guess there's plastic plugs. I do think their metal ones are a nice upgrade. I would consider that. I do think Fickham Repair sells their own cast piece pan as well, but so I do think, sorry, I'm trying to keep up in the comments section. But anyway, so sorry, I digress. That's kind of the best way you can do it. I honestly am a fan of OEM solenoids. I let my tuning deal with the pressures in there. I don't think it's worth spending the money on these upgraded solenoids. I just use the factory one. So I personally wouldn't do that. I would check the plugs. I know that can be an issue, so I would check that part, do the pan that I suggested, and a filter upgrade. And then tuning, I've had tunes that didn't have flare. I've had tunes that did. You could try a few different people out would be my next recommendation. Now, let me get caught up here. I believe there's some funny nonsense. Shots fired. The NV one, I know that's a common swap for a lot of people, if I remember right. I don't know a ton about Ram trucks and the Cummins platform, but I believe the NV 4500 is a pretty common swap. Torsional flexion is what I was. Mike, I think I sent you to Suncoast. Suncoast has a great write-up about 3 to 5 shift flare in the 5R. So I highly recommend if you're experiencing it, you want to really start looking into ways to prevent it. That is a good way to do it. I did the dummy plugs and the solenoids. Don't remember what brand, but they said it was a must-have. Took truck outside to test truck. Had no gear, so I had to drop pan, replace stock, work normal again. Yeah, I just don't like these upgraded solenoids. I like OEM solenoids. You're not going to have issues. And it's easier when you have those upgraded solenoids, you have to also have your tuner adjust all of your tunes. I just don't think it's worth it for the fact that your tuner can adjust. You can do probably 98% of the same stuff through tuning. It's an electronically controlled transmission. So, all right, I think I'm caught up in the comment section here. Guys, I do want to ask you this. How do you like, I don't know that I've necessarily spent a ton of time dropping links from Amazon in my affiliate account there. Is that something you guys like when we're talking about certain products? If I can find them, did you find it disruptive while we're talking for me to look up some of that stuff? I try not to spend too much time looking things up, but at the same time, sometimes it's just helpful. So I try to do that when things are helpful and bring them up. So tell me what you guys think down there, and I will take it into account. I'm sure I've done it once or twice before. I just don't remember really doing it often. I know typically it's more towards other affiliate stuff. So, let's see here. Drop. Oh, cool. All right. As long as you guys like it, I'll keep doing it. If you guys find it annoying, let me know and I'll stop doing it. So, Charlie, it's hard to say that you don't need a new transmission because I'm not obviously driving it. 3 to 5 shift flare is not typically indicative of like a dead transmission. I would try the things we talked about, and you might be able to get some more life out of it. And I would try different tuning options because they can probably help to a degree in that. And read the write-up Suncoast has about 3 to 5 shift flare. Have guys lost transmissions at the same time? Yes, I don't think you necessarily need to do that. Mike, I'm all right. Glad you hear about that. Glad to hear you guys kind of are liking the link thing and don't find it too distracting. What I'll do in the future is I'll just have these pages up in the background so I don't have to go to the sites and try to find stuff there. But no, all right. I'm glad. As long as you guys find it helpful, I find it helpful. The channel, I don't want it to be all about me making money. I need to obviously make money to keep making some of the content I do, but at the same time, that's not the main focus of the channel. The focus is helping you guys and having a good time hanging out with you guys. So as long as you guys still enjoy it, I'll keep doing it. But yeah, Charlie, I would do those new things, get the new filter in there and all that stuff, and go from that. Bulletproof oil cooler, my oil temp hits 240. Man. Long, what are your driving conditions? What's the ambient are we talking a summer day, or are we talking unloaded? Do you have a lift with 44-inch tires, like a 15-inch lift or something like that? Are you towing a camper? Because the only time I've ever seen temps in the 245, 250 range was with a bad oil cooler, and towing 13,000 pounds up a mountain. So you have an upgraded EPC. What I think is one of my trans, and most of the time I get a flare. I have to ask my tuner to up line pressure for quicker and firmer shifts. So, Caleb, one, make sure your tuner knows that you have what all's done to your transmission. If you have that EPC clutch, they need to know it's in there, or you can cause damage to some degree. I've heard of guys losing transmissions by not, or at least losing parts, I should say, because of that. So make sure your tuner knows, let them know you're having 3 to 5 shift flare, and ask them if there's anything they can do to mitigate some of the issue that they're having there. Is anyone else getting like nonstop text alerts about the darn election? It's super annoying. So long. So typically I don't like the bulletproof diesel oil cooler setup. And I know I don't want to say that to like insult your build, because I know it's a beautiful piece. Well, whole kit, I really should say, because it's a lot of pieces. But at the same, and it's high quality, all the parts that are in it. But at the same time, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it really does something. What I'd like to see Bulletproof Diesel do is actually make an auxiliary cooler, basically using something similar to what they already have, but allowing you to retain your stock oil cooler. I think that would be cool in like super high performance builds. I shouldn't say super high performance builds, but in builds that are pushing the limit and still need to keep oil down, but might be pushing their limit with what they're towing and keeping oil temps up. I think that'd be cool. And they do that with the 6.4, but they don't do it with the 6.0. I don't know why. I'm sure there's a reason. It could be related to the Huey injection system, to be honest. I don't know, but I'd like to see something like that as opposed to what they do. You could do a blue wire mod. Like, is your fan kicking on? Would be my next question. Helping pull air in across the cooler. Oh, guys either love that thing or hate it. I've never seen anybody say they're in between. Mike, I've seen that. I've looked at that a lot. I think that's cool. I don't know if it's necessarily an upgrade. I have looked at, for my 6.7, the Bulletproof Diesel oil cooler, because basically they keep a factory oil cooler, but just upgrade to or it's just a little bit bigger than the rest of them. So I have looked at that for my 6.7, but I just don't like the air to oil cooler. I think water to oil is a better overall setup, while someone at International clearly wasn't thinking, because they put it in the valley of the engine. But yeah, not a fan. But I got to tell you, most guys aren't seeing 245, 250 unless they're in like traffic, if they're not moving. At the same time, I do think I would probably increase my oil changing intervals, but I don't think you're causing like any significant damage at that rate or at that temperature. But I do think it's too high for unloaded driving personally. My question would be, how's it going to do when you hook up a 6,000 pound trailer? And 6,000 pounds, that excursion is going to be nothing. But when you're already at 245, 250, what's it going to do when you're actually working the truck and pushing it harder? Yeah, so I just think that's too much personally. I think you're causing like immediate damage? No, but I think I would definitely change my oil more frequently. Maybe send out, maybe do like a 3,000 mile oil change interval, or maybe do your basic 5,000 and send out a link. Oh, look at that. Josh is in. He still does watch the channel, guys. Guys, you all remember Josh. I'm sure I've told this story like 100 times. We're going to tell it again. Josh is actually the one that really called me up and said, Jared, I have it. We need to start a YouTube channel. This was roughly a year and a half, 2 years after he made fun of me for saying I wanted to start a YouTube channel. Called me an idiot, actually. He does like to steal drinks. Devin, so as Best Tune, so like I was saying, Blessed Performance reached out to us. He gets a lot of good reviews. He would like to sponsor some tunes on the channel. So we're looking into that. I've never personally run his stuff. He was very professional on the phone, and like I say, he reached out to me. So down the road, we'll have a review of him, but he gets high regards. And if he does have tunes similar to Windrunner Performance, he's definitely going to be my favorite tuner. Other guys doing great tunes: Truck Source Diesel, Warren Diesel. Every truck acts slightly different to tune, so it's hard to say someone is definitively better. Excuse me. I've said this time and time again. I love Innovative Diesel for racing. Windrunner Performance was my favorite to daily drive. Truck Source Diesel was a nice in between the two. Had great drivability, had great power, pretty good fuel economy for how much power it was made. It was pretty fast tuned from Truck Source Diesel. So those are all the companies that I would recommend personally. Does anyone know if Larry or Hire were the only trucks with painted door handles? So it depends on your year for that, OJ. Like, so I have an 04 Lariat and I don't have painted door handles. I know like Centennials and the Harleys had painted door handles, but I think it just depends. In 06, I think I feel like I've seen 06 XLTs with painted door handles. They could have put them on, like I was working on doing it on my truck, but I had some of them break. I think it was a special option. It was probably like a special package. What the heck? Mike has an 03 with painted door handles. I don't know if Josh is still in here, Nick. He typically has more sarcastic things to say about me. Robert, that's true. Removing the door handle is pretty easy. I don't think I ever released the video I was working on it because I got mad because the door handles broke because I got cheap ones. So I got to get new ones and fix them on the white truck. I should probably do that while I'm not driving it because it definitely needs fixed. In fact, the locking mechanism for the driver's side is in the garage. So it's on the list, guys. I've seen the Jimmy Jackers. I've seen a lot of guys breaking. I've seen a lot of the aftermath of guys breaking into Tyler. It does stink. You have an 01 painted door handles on a Dodge. Was that before or after the rust, Tyler? No, I'm just kidding, man. Our trucks can be broken into with a small flathead. Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty upsetting, to be honest. One more question. You have a bed plate leak on an 05 Excursion. Is it worth fixing? It has one little drop of oil on the driveway once in a while. Charlie, I will say that is a very, very expensive fix. I hate when they leak oil. I loved when my 6-liter was all put back together and wasn't leaking anything. But it is a very expensive fix. I would get a quote on a shop doing it, but I'm going to say no unless it's leaking really bad. I personally wouldn't get it fixed unless it was leaking bad, just because like Robert just said, it's basically engine out to get to it. And if it's one little drop here and there, and I definitely check the valley of your engine and make sure it's not like an oil cooler leak. Sometimes that gasket wears out. You can get a little oil there, or a high pressure oil pump cover leak are two very common ones. And a lot of guys mistake them for the rear gasket or rear seal of the engine or bed plate leak. So I would double check there and make sure it's not coming from up top and dripping down there and looking like a bed plate leak when it's something else. But me personally, for the amount of oil you're saying it leaks, I'm going to say no. Guys, there you have it. Josh said it this winter. We're going to start working on his truck. Maybe he'll be excited when I call him with some of the news from the company that wants to sponsor a couple videos in exchange for some tuning stuff. Oil leaks are normal. 6.0s are not known to be dry engines. They're not known for as many leaks as a 7.3, but they're definitely not known to be dry engines. I'll say mine was really dry until probably about 130, 150,000 miles, and then I did develop a leak, anti-rust. Mike, say that to, I should have you seen the rust on my 6.7? And that thing was leaking oil, all terrible up there. Anti-oil, anti-rust. It's a Ford installed thing. I have not been selfish. Guys, you just remember who makes sure you have Powerstroke content and who's been absent. Doom, you've got to be kidding me. You didn't know that they're known for oil leaks, brother? So common oil leaks on a 6.0. Like I said, they're really not as bad. Valve covers do happen. Typically, just bolts need tightened up or a new gasket. I honestly think the factory valve covers are kind of junk on 6 liters. I think they could be a little better. I think that's part of the issue. Mike, calling Josh out like that. Oil pans sometimes leak. The bed plates probably is a pretty common one. High pressure oil pump cover is probably the next one, and the oil cooler cover. Typically, after people have been in there working on them, I know there's a lot of times they don't get it right. That's really, truthfully, there aren't like a ton of places for it to leak. Just when they do leak, it can be kind of a giant pain to get to. Personally, in my experience, now you kind of, once you tear them apart a few times, you get pretty fast at getting in there to get to certain stuff, but it's still not a fun job to have to tear down to an oil cooler to fix a leak. Just had both of those done. Leaked on both sides. That seems. FYI, anti-rust is putting wool wax on. There's only one guy that does it. Affordable auto solution. You're the second guy I've heard talk about this wool wax. I'll have to look into that. One common mistake is oil drain plug. Put a new plug and washer, works wonders. Mike over here. And you guys thought I was firing shots at Dodge owners earlier. No, 6.0s aren't bad. Typically when you do get a leak in like the bed plate or by the oil pan, honestly, it's typically not a super bad one. You might get a drop here and there, but probably nothing you'll even notice in between oil changes. Grant, what's up? What's up, man? We have Josh in here tonight. He's our comedic relief. That's funny. That is definitely funny. If you guys remember when Josh was left to his own devices in the very first video we ever made, he ended up with penny loafers and a tie, smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer. It was awful. It was just awful. I actually showed somebody at work that video the other day because they were asking about the channel, and I told them, I'll show you guys. Oh, that was funny. Put the Motorcraft on my skin. Josh was looking quite stunning that day. Sorry, got a message on Instagram. I don't need to answer right now, but I did want to just check it, make sure we were all good. It's not broken. It's not leaking. Exactly. All right, regroup here, guys. So there you have it. Josh is saying this winter, that truck gets to come back on the channel. I'd subscribed yesterday. Mike, so I would love to start a gun channel at some point. The only issue is I just don't have the time to do it. You know, I've been really pushing hard on making content for this channel. I definitely have to be I'm studying for my entrance exam for clinical for nursing. So this is I don't want to take time away from this channel to make content for another channel. I will say down the road, I do plan to start one. I know I have to look into some YouTube restrictions with gun channels because I do know they're under a pretty strict level of scrutiny. But I will say, hopefully down the road, I would love to start one. And I don't know that I would post as much as I post to this one, but it would be fun to start. Josh and I have I think we have some pretty cool stuff. Sounds like a Biden boy. Yeah, guys, sorry if you didn't know, Josh, he's voting Democrat in this next election. It's pretty upsetting, but, you know, we do forgive him for that. Behind the fender. Mine is behind the bumper now. Nick, I have no idea what you're talking about, brother. Where is the... Oh, that's right. Mine is zip tied to the wire. Never mind. I see it now. So... zip tied to the wiring harness. I don't know where I don't think I've ever seen the horn on my 6-liter. Here's for president. Yeah, unfortunately, but you know, we forgive him. Above the fuse box. Okay. Then I guess I probably have seen it and just kind of forget about it. So, guys, why don't you guys pick a topic and we will go kind of on there. You know, we talked about tuning. I can always talk more about tuning if you guys want, or we can kind of switch topics. We've kind of talked about a few things, transmissions, tuning. We haven't gotten much into builds today, which is it's a little different. I'm definitely not complaining. It's just different. That's normally a pretty hot topic. So any issues anyone's having with their trucks here? I'm trying to pull up some random background stuff. Back over here. Thumb and swap. It's supposed to be behind the front right fender. A thumb and swap. So what I think would actually be a really cool, Josh and I both had 93 Explorers once upon a time. And if I were to have, if this channel were to be wildly successful one day, I would definitely want to buy one of those old Explorers, like a 90, I think it was 91 through 94, I think was the first body style Explorer. And I'd like to make it nice and new. And I think it'd be cool to put one of the 4 BTs in, or put one of the 4 BTs in a F-150. I know a few people have done that. I just think that'd be a pretty cool little build to drop one of those 4 BT Cummins into a old Ford Explorer, like an OBS F-150. I don't know what the power potential is out of either of those, but even if you could get 350 horsepower to the wheels in that diesel with the torque and maybe maybe a small compound setup, I think that'd be a fun Josh, have fun with that. He's always very supportive. But I think it'd be a fun little something, kind of not that you see everybody out there do. No, Mike, I didn't see that, but I'm sure it is cool. The 6.7 Cummins is a good engine. I hate the way it sounds. I think I will say this. I think Cummins and those inline six engines, I think, are some of the worst sounding diesels ever. I'm not saying they're not good engines. I'm just saying I can't stand the way they sound. Robert, I can't say I've heard of that, but if I had to guess, Josh's truck, we found this out. His pickup straw for his fuel broke, and it's a common issue with a lot of these trucks. I run a sump in my truck, so I don't have to worry about that. But we found that out in Josh's that happens, so you have to worry about that. I would look at you could either run a sump, or you could drop your tank and replace that piece. I think it's kind of expensive. I can't remember. Josh and I looked at it. God, it was forever ago. But it wasn't a cheap thing. I personally would probably invest in buying a sump, personally. Grant, how you doing? I don't know that I saw that you were in here, brother. Hope you're doing well. Oh, nope. I see where you popped in there. Good to have you here, man. Tyler, you own a Cummins. You're biased. We can't take your opinion seriously on the sound of a Dodge Cummins when you own a Dodge Cummins. It's no good. Is it easier to drop the tank or lift the bed off, you think? Well, we don't have the means to pick the bed off. Oh, they're $20. Maybe Josh and I were looking at the sending unit then. Because I definitely wouldn't say $20 is bad. It sounds like a tractor, -40. Tyler, where are you at that you're seeing -40-degree temperatures? That is awful. Yeah, Robert, I'm going to say it's probably easier to drop the tank. If you install a sump would now be significant, like 7 times more expensive, at least 5 times more expensive to install a sump. But you wouldn't have to drop the tank if you went that route. Now, if you did drop the tank, you could do the harpoon mod to get more fuel in your tank. Which is basically, I only learned this recently. Like, I've heard of the mod, I only looked into it recently. Basically, so there's 2 vents, and basically they go down pretty far in the tank, and it's to allow for gasoline to expand and contract. Because in the 6.0 years, they use the gas tanks for diesel fuel as well. But you can go in and you can trim one of them to come up higher so it can still vent and get air out as you're filling up diesel. I think some guys are saying they're getting like an extra 5-6 gallons of diesel in their trucks just from pulling that one piece off and cutting it. So I would say that's definitely one way to go with that, and get some extra diesel in there as well. I would probably personally drop the tank. Josh and I have talked about it in the past, and I think we've always kind of, I could be wrong. I think when we've discussed it in the past, other than saying we haven't dropped, Josh has replaced the straps on he had an F-150, he replaced the straps on it, so he definitely knows how to drop a tank if he needs to. If you notch one of the tabs on the fuel tank Excursion, you can drop the tank with very little work. Well, plus the Excursion has that big tank, that like 40 gallon tank or something. If you notch one of the, sorry, just read that one. Darn bugs. Hey, my truck just started making a knocking noise from the air filter. Any tips on what it might be? I've been watching your rocker arm video. I was just about to say you have a rocker arm issue, most likely. So, if the knocking noise is coming from your air filter and it's pushing air back out your air filter, you most likely have an intake rocker arm that is broken. I mean, it could be, it sounds terrible. It's such a bad sound because you think like it's like a connecting rod. It's that bad sounding. So yeah, no, not a bad fix. You do need to, unfortunately, I think like the rocker arm was like $150, something like that. It wasn't super cheap because I needed like the bridge and everything. Anyway, you do need to pull one of the head studs or head bolts, depending on what you have. Same part. You need to pull one of them out to replace it, which that kind of sucks. But I didn't have any issues after that as far as like leaking head gaskets. Mike, that could be. Your worst case scenario is that. So I think it gave me a code for the cylinder that was down. So check your codes. It should tell you what cylinder it is. And then pull the valve cover for that side and check the rocker arms around there. Mine, I mean, I think I show in the video how like it was visibly bad. So that is what I would do. That is my most likely guess. If that doesn't check out, then you're probably looking at a tear down. At least the cylinder head would probably have to come off. You could have there could be a whole list of crap that could be bad, to be honest. So that would be your next starting point. Mike, the excursion tank is 46 gallons. Man, that thing is massive. Josh and I were talking about that at one point about how Supremo, no problem, man. That's what we're here for. No problem. Josh and I were talking about adding an excursion tank on his because his spare tire is out. Plus, on both of our 6 liters, we're running 35s pretty much. So a 35 ain't fitting in the factory location for a spare tire. But man, that's a big tank. So Josh and I have talked about putting excursion tank in there for his truck for the tow build. That's a big tank. They're cheap too. They're so cheap. Like you can get those tanks for like less than $400. 44. So 40. So over 40 gallons of diesel fuel. So Robert, you can, but they go where the spare tire goes. So you definitely need to have a spare tire solution for your truck, depending on how far it leaves the area. But or at least make darn sure you have AAA. But it goes where the spare tire goes. So they can be swapped over. I don't know what all is involved. The problem I had trying to figure out is how you run the fuel neck. I guess you'd have to kind of do like your own custom setup for the fuel neck, where you actually fill it up with diesel to get it there. So OJ it depends. So if on crew cab short beds, it was a 28-gallon fuel tank in the 6.0 years. Joe, I believe you're correct. I believe it is the same tank the flatbeds use. So, yeah, fuel tanks. I wish Ford would. I do think on a crew cab long bed, I do think they're like 36-ish. You can probably get over 40. If it's 36, sometimes I forget we have the internet right here. We'll just look up a 2005 F250 long bed fuel tank size. See what pops up. All right, lots of the 29 gallons. Looks like 38 gallon. Out of 05, it's a long bed. Yeah, so in the 05 through 07 trucks with a long bed, you got a 38-gallon fuel tank, which you could probably, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say you probably do the Harpoon mod to that and get over 40 with it. Josh, I did not kick you out. Liberal silencing ways. Oh, my 6.7 has a tiny tank. It's 26 gallons. We're going to put an SMB fuel tank in. That truck. Before it does any towing next year, we're really going to get the bulk of the tow mods for that. You know, airbags, fuel tank. Probably do an onboard air compressor on that as well. That stuff's going to happen next spring for the black truck. But it's definitely getting SMB sells. I believe they have a 60-gallon fuel tank. I'm going to put in the black truck, and they let you can run a sump with that, and that's probably going to be like it has a built-in sump. It's really cool. The SMB tank does such a nice job, and I believe it's still cheaper than Titan fuel tanks. So that definitely, I'm pretty sold on the SMB tank. But I'll probably also run. Yes, Josh. 26 gallons in the black truck. It's very upsetting. But sorry, I heard a random noise over. 31.6. Oh, I see what you're saying now. Anyway, so SMB, I think you can get like a 60 or 65 gallon fuel tank. We're going to put that in there, and we're probably going to run a lift pump at the same time since everything will be open at that point. And that is when I will switch to the H&S fuel filter under the hood instead of the factory one when I do the lift pump setup. Nothing wrong with the factory filter. I don't have any issues with it. It's just I'm not going to buy 2 factory filters when I can only use one when I do the lift pump on the truck anyway. So we'll get rid of that. We'll buy the other one and go from there. I'll probably replace my fuel filters one more time before that anyway, just to make sure. I do a fair amount of driving, and I just want to make sure I don't have any CP4 issues because that would suck. I should probably drink a little water. I've had a lot of caffeine today. I agree, Josh. I do need to upgrade. For endurance driving. A 44-gallon fuel tank is pretty monstrous. Like, well done, Ford, on the excursion fuel tank. They could have really taken care of the crew cab short bed guys a little better. $10 gallons of gas with 30 gallons of diesel sure makes them run crappy. Yeah, I definitely would believe that. I would definitely use some arch oil in your fuel and on the oil side just to make sure you try to save those injectors, because the 6.0 is, man, no one likes small these days. I feel like we're not entirely talking about fuel tanks at the moment, guys. But no, so we do have a lot of cool stuff planned for the 6.7. We have Radvacs. Okay, good. As long as you got something, they're trying to keep them happy, especially because the gas is hard on the moving parts of the 6.0 injector. But anyway, we do have plans on 600 miles per tank. Man, that would be nice to. I mean, I bet it hurts to fill up, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're still using the same amount of fuel no matter what. It just would be nice to go a little further between fill-ups. But I'd like to try to do the harpoon mod at some point on the newer diesel tanks. Don't have this issue because I got excited thinking like, oh, maybe I can do the harpoon mod and get an extra like 5-6 gallons in my tank and not have to deal with maybe not make it as needed for me to upgrade. But that is not a thing on the new trucks. Ford fixed that. But on the 6-liter years, you can do that harpoon mod. Stay off the loud pedal. So So that is something we're planning. Random insert. If you guys haven't hit that like button, make sure you hit the like button. We're always try to push that in these last couple of videos, and the live streams have done pretty well even after they come down, even after we're not live. So just trying to encourage that. I don't know how many of you looked at the AFE pan I posted earlier, but they do look freaking cool. I think AFE did a nice job on that. I like my BD one that's on the 6-liter, and I like my Magtech oil pan that's on my 6.7. But the AFE one, I got to give it to them. They did a nice job. That being said, I do think their diff covers look awful in comparison to Magtech. Sorry, just closing some of these random screens I have open from earlier in the live chat. Send it, just use 2-stroke oil. I'm going to get a midship tank 2. Goal is to make it coast to coast on one fill-up. Man, coast to coast on one fill-up. How many miles is it from east to west coast, Mike? I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that's too far to make on one tank. Josh, my broken 6.0 is still better than yours 6.0. Let's be honest here. How many miles coast to coast? 2,500 to 3,500. So let's say we'll go in the middle. We'll go 3,000 miles. Let's say you get 20 miles per gallon. 150 gallons of fuel if you did that. Man, I don't know if you can fit. That's a lot of fuel to fit. But you figure if you could fit like the S&B 60-gallon fuel tank in there, you're at 44 with the other tank. I mean, you could make it on one fill up. I mean, that is getting 20 miles per gallon too. It's like Josh doesn't even know the channel. Yes, people are looking for tow content. I keep telling him, guys, buy parts for your truck. I'll film it and edit it and put it up. That's funny. But no, there are some cool oh, I can't. What kind of gas mileage do you get cruising down the highway, man? So I think the 6.4 is a much worse engine, mainly for cracking pistons. It is like a super common thing to crack pistons. 18's not bad, man. I mean, I will say you carry that much extra fuel. You'll probably, at first you're probably going to be a little lower than that, but 18 miles per gallon is pretty darn good fuel economy for as heavy as that truck is. I think the 6.4 used to be a throwaway engine. I think some advancements have come out that make it no longer a throwaway engine. And Kill Devil Diesel, I think, is responsible for a lot of it. Someone's singing very poorly off in the distance. It's terrible. Anyway, so with the Max Force pistons was the first upgrade in pistons. Now you can get steel pistons for the 6.4. Upgrade connecting. Don't get me wrong. To do it right, it is a very, very expensive engine to make a good engine. but I feel officially you can say the 6.4 can be made a good engine. It just takes like 11 grand to do. So no, I hear the 6.4 is sure it's a powerhouse, has some significant drawbacks in the reliability department, but at the same time, I do feel it can currently be made to be a good engine. It's just super, super expensive. All right, so the biggest issue with the 6.4 is really, in my opinion, has to do with cracking pistons. It's super common for it to crack pistons. Doom, I agree with you. I like 6.0s a lot more than I like 6.4s. I do think 6.4 body style was amazing at the time, but I prefer the 6-liter over the 6.4. But really, the biggest issue, in my opinion, had to deal with cracked pistons, because there's no way to just replace a cracked piston. It's a big deal. I know a lot of guys say they're throwaway engines. I think it's just because anytime you have a major issue, it's so... Josh, he's ignoring. I really think the cracked piston, because when you got to do that, you're talking a very expensive day. An engine needs to come out, complete teardown. The only other thing I have heard of is, and there's no fixing this, is apparently they are prone to no, Nick, I'm attempting to answer him. They are prone more than other engines to have a crack around one of the head studs. So obviously, if that happens, there's no fixing it. You just got to pitch it. But a lot of that was stemming from people over tightening head studs. So I don't know that it's necessarily a blame from there. The 6.4, Josh, all in all, I mean, it is a monster and it performs well. It's really just, there was no solid answer for the piston issue. That was the big issue. Now you can get steel pistons for it. So if you're going to do a 6.4 build, and it's going to be all apart anyway, like, you might as well upgrade to a good piston that's going to take the abuse, that can actually deal with the high pressure injection, fuel injection system. I mean, International made major issues, or major design flaws in the 6.4, but I think the aftermarket, much like the 6-liter, has fixed it. I think why 6-liters are more memes than 6.4s is because a lot more of them were sold, because they were sold over more years. Even after they stopped selling in 07 in the pickup trucks, they still sold for another 2 years in the E-Class vans. Dude, the 6.0 body style is classic. Like you said, it still looks modern today. People still, if you don't know trucks and they see a well-maintained body style from like the 6.0 era, they still think it's a new truck. Even, I mean, don't get me wrong, clearly there's some ignorance there, but so Joe, they are very similar. The difference is, though, that, well, there's a lot of differences. The block itself is the same. It's just bored out slightly more to give it the 6.4 displacement, but they are the same block, same starting point from the block. But so there are differences. International also went to a larger head stud in the 6.4. So a combination of boring the cylinder out more and then boring out the holes that the head bolts went in is kind of why there's a weak point. I forget what cylinders it's between that it does crack, but when everyone thought they should be, if they torqued their ARP head studs down to higher torque specs, that they were cracking blocks. That was an issue. I haven't heard much about it in recent years. I suppose probably because people realized, enough guys finally broke ARP studs in their block to realize that they should stop grossly over tightening them. We're not talking they went like 10 pound-feet over, like we're talking 50, 60 pound-feet over. '05 through '07 is my favorite grill on the 6. I think that front end is just, in '05, '07, I just think it's the best looking front end. I still like the 99 through '04, but definitely in '05, it was the perfect refresh for that body style. They don't even acknowledge the 6.4 doesn't get a pass. Ford has been using the same tooling to stamp parts for cabs, doors, headers. Oh, yeah. I mean, you figure essentially the same body. Well, the doors and bed were essentially the same from 99 through 16. There were some small changes, but a 99 through 16 bed and door looks right at home on any 99 through 16 truck. Make windows great again. Grant, you saw the shirt, right? If you haven't, I do have my hoodie here. Let's bring it out. Josh will probably make fun of me in a second for this, but whatever. Making 6.0s great again at Teespring. And to see the front, I don't know if you were in this for this at all, Grant. And 6.0 bros. Guys, I will try to get by the end of next week, I will try to get the SOB 6.0 bros on the front and making 6.0s great again on the back. I'll try to do that since you guys asked for it. I'll try to have that next week. But don't hold me to that. It's just something I'll try to do since you guys did request it. So they choose to change pistons and dump raw fuel to clean cat and make EGTs go. Oh, Joe, I also think you need to delete a 6.4. Like I will say, I think these emission systems have come very, very far on 6 or on the 6.7. I think they're much better, but on the 6.4, I think you just need to delete them. I think that's the only way to make them reliable. I will say that. They need deleted. I think they need steel pistons. At bare minimum, the Max Force HD pistons was definitely a nice step up, but the steel piston is still vastly superior than the original pistons that came in the 6.4. I think they are probably the single biggest culprit for it being a throwaway engine because you already cracked the pistons. It wasn't a rare thing to happen. Why are you going to replace them? Plus, sometimes when you crack pistons, you mess up you score the walls of the cylinder, then you need to deal with that. Hey, Mike, thanks, man. Hope you enjoy the rest of the live stream. Thanks for staying with us, even though your phone's dying. I'm going to need to get a hoodie. Hoodie weather is upon us. And so, Grant, I am looking at doing a zip up. I'm probably going to go with the original, the design Josh came up with, the turbo with the 6.0 bros across it. I don't know that I can put that dead center on there. So what I'll do is I'll probably make it smaller and put it on the left chest area. And then I'll do something on the back with maybe I talked about a different SOB layout or the making 6.0s great again. Maybe both. Just depends when I have time to sit down and design stuff. But since you guys want some zip up hoodies, that should be, within the next 2 weeks, I should be able to make that happen. Jay, how are you doing? Jay, were you in here earlier? I don't even remember you in here earlier if you were, brother. Welcome. Jay, you know I'm not capable of not being hard on my truck. I feel like I've very clearly demonstrated a history of being very, very hard on my I'll have to look into that. I knew she was the front runner. Doom, what'd you with throwaway? You mean because of the original pistons? I mean, that's what I was getting at. Is I think once upon a time they were a throwaway engine because you didn't have the ability to deal with the fact that the pistons were garbage and that they were frequently cracking. Whereas now I feel there's a solution that kind of takes them out of that issue. I don't think they're a throwaway engine anymore. Beer belly and man boob when you want to take your sweatshirt off. That's awesome. So I don't know if any of you guys have actually gone to the Teespring website since I told you. I mean, that's where all of the newest merch is. But let me know what you guys think of it. I've been pretty excited about it. Robert, is that the original? Well, in that scenario, couldn't you just have an engine machined out, like go to a machine shop, have them machine it and sleeve it? I mean, there's guys that sleeve 6 liters. They don't come that way from factory. So couldn't you technically, in that theory, make any non-sleeved engine a sleeved engine? That's cool though if that's the original meaning. Well, I'm sure I said that like it's no big deal, but I'm sure that's a very expensive I'm sure it's not cheap to sleeve an engine. I know Greg over at Diesel and Automotive. He bought a full build kit. Basically, every upgraded part Jared at Kill Devil sells, he purchased and plans to. He's waiting on his engine block to get done at the machine shop, and he's going to sleeve that and everything. So the original phrase of throwaway engine is just referring to old school. It wasn't 1600 on a V8. That's actually not as bad as I thought it would be to have an engine sleeved. I see a fair amount of negativity on the 6.4. Now, granted, I'm on a lot of 6.0 pages, obviously because of the channel, but that's true. I don't think the 6.4 is definitely bored out pretty well. I don't know how much more someone could push that, as opposed to somebody just. That's hysterical. Somebody on one of the. Do you guys remember when I ran the cheap Chinese intercooler pipe? Someone just commented on the video, China. That makes me laugh. Anyway, I'm gonna take on it for years in a wrecking yard. Jay is the truck back man. My Instagram's pulling up here. Jay, are you sure you sent them to the right person? I don't have anything from you, brother. But the point I was saying about the 6.4 is if you don't have any issues and you're doing a build, I don't feel like it's not always a cracked piston that puts a 6.4 down, but you can put like there's now an upgrade that isn't an issue, as opposed to before there was always like you could only replace it with the same failure prone part as before. Oh, Robert, I'm glad that video helped somebody. I made the poor decision of buying them, but and that was again, I mean, that was one of the things that when we started the channel, we wanted to do is review parts and actually find out if they were worth people spending their money on to put on their truck. In place of cheap, now I have had guys run them without issue. I will say that there are guys that do say they run them and they don't have issues. I don't remember everyone's build, but I definitely didn't have good luck with them. And they rubbed through on one of the supports. That sucked. This was several years ago. Maybe more or less. Oh, yeah, it definitely changes on what engine's in there. I don't know what Greg paid to have his done. Plus, it's his machine shop, I know when it's for his personal stuff, cuts him a little bit of a break on stuff. So he's also has engine block there for a while. So I think that's part of why. But it's the machine shop that he sends all of his stuff like through the shop too. So they know him pretty well. But having a sleeved engine, I mean, so is that the biggest point of it, of a sleeved engine, is if something does go wrong, like if your piston lets loose, or one of the rings breaks, that you don't damage the engine block itself, and you can pop them out and, have new ones pressed in? Oh, Doom, I'm right there with you, man. Especially now that I have that one, especially now I know that my calipers aren't sticking, and the truck isn't going to break when I do dumb stuff, and I have that BD throttle sensitivity booster on there. I think it is going to be a blast to goof around and fishtail in the snow a little bit and have some fun. Huh. You can have all our snow and enjoy it. Joe, where are you from, man? What part of the world are you in? Robert, I'll have to look into that. I've never really looked into any of that, to be honest. So I'll have to kind of look into it. It's kind of a cool topic. I knew about it. I just didn't really know. I just don't know much about it. No, I enjoy some good snow. Josh, what kind of hybrid are you driving? That is awesome. I don't know if it's ever been on the channel, guys. Josh has a 2016 Mustang GT. He bought that, I think, literally the same. If it wasn't the same day, it was within a couple days of me getting the black truck. He has a very nice looking 2016 Mustang GT. I'm trying to think, what's the a Focus hybrid? That is awesome. It still runs time pipes. Hey Nick, the stock pipes on a 6-liter, honestly, they're good. Like, they're not bad. Like, I know I've upgraded mine. I'm not saying there's room for improvement, but all in all, I think they're pretty good pipes. And they clean up nice. They're steel. They're heavy duty. I will say, I wish they had a bead roll like pressing out, as opposed to that inverted piece that your boot's supposed to sit on, and then you put the clamp over that. I like the bead roll better. Doom. So when I did my front, I did my front. I need to order rear brakes because I need to do that before it gets too cold. But what was I going to say? Oh, I went with full Motorcraft. So I went with a new set of Motorcraft brake calipers, rotors, and pads up front. I probably won't do that on the rear. I'm not sure what I'm going to run on the rear, to be honest, but I do need to buy them soon. Basically, my goal is to get just the rear brakes done this year. Next spring probably, I want to do basically the same thing we did on Josh's truck, get new wheel bearings in the rear, oil slingers, a whole nine, do that, get new backing plates. That's for next spring, though. So we're going to the calipers don't seem to stick back there, so I'm not going to touch them. I'm just going to get new rotors and brake pads for the rear. And I'll probably go with something semi-affordable. I probably won't. A Power Stop's pretty affordable, I will say that. But I've used Power Stop on my white truck. Josh used them on his last Mustang. I think it was his last one. I don't think his current Mustang has them. We're fans of the Power Stop stuff. I think it's, if you're sticking with a factory brake caliper, I think, or a factory size rotor and everything, I think they're the best upgrade. And I will say SSBC has some really nice piston setup, like brake piston setups that I'd like to try, but they're also like $1,000 to $1,500 depending on front or rear. And at that point, you're talking Willwood money, because Willwood's still like $2,000, but I mean, you're kind of getting more in that ballpark, but you need to run 20-inch wheels with Willwood. So, Josh, are you going to do a review on the fusion of the channel? That would be pretty funny if he did. On the Super Duty that had one caliper on front of axle, did 17 times on my... Joe, what year's your dad's truck? Putting sleeving made the block considerably stronger. Trying to think. My dad has an 01. Are you talking rear calipers? Content, baby. You know, my dad just had a sticking caliper last. I think I replaced it in like November or something. And I have pictures of it. So I think I have pictures posted up. His rear rotor was literally like, I mean, paper, all but paper thin. I can't believe it didn't break by the time I got to replacing it. Like, he was really grinding that out. So we got him set up with 2 new rear calipers and new set of rotors and pads back there, but it was bad looking. Oh, dude, definitely the power stop, I can say 100% was braked better than factory brakes and did better than anything else I ever ran before. Oh, dude, that's cool. Short bed conversion. I'd love to do one day. I really would. Saw my dog. She doesn't look like she wants to come out right now. You should see the rear rotor we took off our race car. Cut right off. Wow, that's a bad day. Josh, you can even dress up for it. I forget what I was going. What's the other brand? There's another one. Like, they have the colored pads, like green stuff, yellow stuff. I can't remember them. I've heard, is it EDC, EBC? I think it's EBC. Behind dash, the harness is there with the connector already. I haven't. Now, I'm pretty certain they use the same power slide through. Like, so mine's I have a 15, obviously, and that EBC. That has the power slide. I don't know how similar it is. If you need pictures or me to look at anything, I'd be happy to. But I'd imagine overall it's probably, well, you need to mount a motor. I think that mounts to the rear wall of the cab. There's a 6-door Super Duty that's in an 11 through 16 truck. I'm not sure what year it is exactly. That's actually local to me. I see it all the time. It's a monster. I typically see it at Home Depot, actually. I haven't been out there in a bit, but when I go, I normally always see it. He's there like every weekend. I think they're cool. I just look at them though and go, why? I don't knock them. They're awesome. I bet they got it. What's the price to convert to a 6-door? Like, I guess just for the everyday guy. What was I looking at? You guys will appreciate this. This is another one of those. If the channel is very successful, this would be something I'd buy once I find the picture to see what the name of it is. It's an international truck, like an can't remember, MKT maybe? I'm just Googling crap. 6.0 international pickup. See what pops up here. There it is. This thing's sweet. An MXT. An international MXT, guys. If this channel is absurdly successful, one day I will buy an International MXT for the channel, and I think it'd be sweet. I also think it'd be hysterical to drive an MXT to work at a nursing home that I work at. Seen one on the parade a while ago. Grant, I hope I don't have 5 kids one day. But fair enough. I mean, I'd probably look at an excursion, to be honest. And just get ready to yell at them to stop fighting all the time, probably. A bloated Gladiator? Who makes a Gladiator? I'm about to do an EGR delete and also add a 4-inch straight pipe with light tune. What would the next step be if I wanted to add 100 to 200 horsepower? So, is a 6-door Super Duty. So, the factory 6.0 Powerstroke. So, say you add until you start changing injector. Oh, that thing? That is not a bloated Gladiator. You stop. No, I refuse to take that. The MXT is much cooler than that garbage Gladiator. Anyway, so a 6.0, if you do a full race tune, add do the exhaust and intake that, you're looking at like a 100 horsepower tune is very doable. 200 horsepower, that's kind of harder. Maybe about 140 horsepower over factory rear wheel horsepower ratings on a 6.0 is the most you can get, which is still a fun truck. I think a lot of guys underestimate that because it's so easy to get 500 horsepower out of diesels now, that a lot of people think everyone needs to have 500 horsepower to have a fun truck. Like a race tune on a relatively factory 6-liter is a great time. But to say you want 500 horsepower, factory 6-liters put about 270 to 280 to the wheels and factory form. So 200 horsepower tune would be about 480 horsepower. You'd probably need to just do an injector upgrade. Make sure you have enough fuel. For it to really run good, I would do an injector and a turbo upgrade. Check out our sponsor, TurboTime USA, for that. 5% off code down in the description. It's also an affiliate link for us, so it does go and help the channel. But like a 155 stock nozzle injector, 175 stock nozzle injector, and stage 1 or stage 2 turbo from them, and some good tunes, and you'd be set to go, man. One of those internationals or a 650 is a 6. I've looked at 650s, but I got to tell you, the MXT looks cooler than a 650. But at the same time, I'd like a 650 too, though. I'm not gonna lie. Again, guys, goals. If the channel were to ever be absurdly successful, these are things I would do. Oh, got Jay's message here. I'll have to read that later. There's stuff for me to read off to look at that later when I'm not in the middle of live stream. But you guys tell me you wouldn't love an International MXT on the channel as a grocery getter. You can put a bet on a 650 though. Oh wait, you were talking about Doom with the excursion. I would love to do an excursion if I ever did. So if an excursion ever came to the channel, I don't know if I'd do a 7.3 or a 6.0. I think either one would be pretty cool. But I think it would be I think it'd be an awesome thing to do, like an 8-inch lift. And Jay, I can't Jay, are you still in the live stream? He's trying to do a video chat with me. It's not happening right now. But I think an excursion with like an 8 or 10-inch lift and 40-inch tires would be a blast. So oh yeah, Doom brought up a good point. You want to make sure if you're really pushing horsepower into the like if you want to be under 350 horsepower, even 370 on a 6-liter at the wheels, as long as you're not beating on the truck, you're relatively safe. But if you're going to go for a lot of power, then yeah, you need head studs. I replaced a Y pipe in my up pipe, exhaust in my 07. Still have a leak. My guess is the turbo to exhaust. Is there a way to fix the leak without tearing everything back apart? So yeah, the only thing you'll need to really pull off is you'll need to pull the degas bottle out. You shouldn't have to pull the thickum. Loosen up the V-band clamp that connects the Y pipe to your turbo, and then go down to your driver's side exhaust manifold and loosen up the Y pipe to exhaust manifold connection. And then literally what you can do, what I do is I take my hand and I go to the V part of the Y pipe and I pull it against the turbo. And then I use like a couple fingers to do that. And then I hold the clamp shut and I just hand tighten the bolt. And then I position it how I want it when it's just, I hand tighten as much as I can, but you should still be able to move it after that. But it should hold the pipe where you need to. Crank down to spec. I forget what the torque spec is on the V-band clamp for the turbo to Y pipe, but tighten it pretty good. And then I go back down. Don't take the bolts out of your Y pipe to exhaust manifold. Honestly, you should just need to loosen one of the nuts, should give you enough play in it, but then tighten that back down after you have the connection at the turbo good. And that should set you up. That is the most common leak, and you're right, that is most likely where you're leaking at. Limited slip option for the 6.0. You can do a factory limited slip. There's a ton. I don't know a ton about upgrading diff stuff, so you could kind of go any which way with that. I do plan to look into that a little more in the future because I want to add limited slip to my 6-liter. I'm also debating on re-gearing it, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there. But the factory option really is good. I've seen them really beat pretty hard and still run well. Is it, I think, Eaton Locker, Detroit Axle, or not Detroit Axle. Is it Grizzly Locker, maybe? Quick looking something up here. Man, my phone is going off, and it's a Detroit True Track is the one I was trying to think of. Detroit lockers I know are well known. You can get into e-locker, like an electric locker, or there's air lockers too. There's a million different things, and there's just too much to. Weird noises at night. Anyway, there's just a lot more than I truly know how to do on that front, to be honest, to give you a good answer. 8-inch lift 37 is going to come in airlift. These leaf springs are so terrible. I believe on that kind of lift, it's probably a little rough. New to your channel, Cody, welcome to the channel, brother. Appreciate your hard work and effort. I currently have an LS swap Jeep, but looking to get a 6.0. I'm wanting to get an 0507. Any small things commonly overlooked? Cody, so I did do a video that I encourage you to check out. I did a couple videos. One is looking at what to look for in buying a 6.0, and one is what to do first when you get a 6.0. Doom, you can get a factory limited slip diff in a 6.0, correct? Sorry, all right, I lost my train of thought. So I would check out those two videos first. I think major things when you're buying, making sure the oil cooler is good. If they've replaced an oil cooler recently, making sure that if it was failed anyway, if they didn't do it as preventative maintenance, making sure that that they turned around and did an EGR cooler at the same time, checking for head studs if they have head studs, making sure that they used actual ARPs and that it was done at a good shop would be some things I'd look at. Maintenance records, if any, are super big. Checking your fuel pressure. Again, this is in those videos that I talked about, that I just referenced. Checking your fuel pressure to make sure your injectors are healthy. It's typically nothing major. If there's any white residue by the degas bottle or on the intake tube, asking about why it's there, making sure that they didn't try to just top off the coolant and call it a day and try to sell you an issue. Also bringing a monitor to be able to check stuff as you're going. Trying to think of anything else right now. That's all that really comes to mind. They're pretty solid trucks, but there are a few things to look for. I'm probably forgetting something. I'm going on very little sleep after the last 2 days at work. But so I'm kind of foggy. I apologize. But I think that's really about it, man. Leave up pipe bolt loose. Also, turbo mount bolts loose. I have done the turbo mount. Excuse me. I've loosened the turbo pedestal before, but honestly, I've never had issues ever since I started loosening the Y pipe to exhaust manifold connection and just pulling it in tight, and then tightening the V-band clamp with my hands until I couldn't get it anymore. Then it has always seated correctly. Do not use a toe strap. I hate when people say that. That is such a dumb way to do it. It's just wrong. There's no reason to do it. Mike, how do you know you have an LSD? I'm kidding. I already have that answer. A degas cap is a good one. Yeah, that is a really good one. When they fail, excuse me, there's under pressure. Under pressure, I'm trying to think here. Sorry. I forget what it is under pressure, the boiling point of coolant or water increases while it's under pressure, which can give you an issue. If I'm not wrong, I believe Nick, I don't think I have. Josh and I both have the off-road package, and I don't think either of us. Well, I don't know about him. I've never seen mine work, but maybe it's just because it needs some more additive or something. Thanks, Cody. Yeah, those videos will go pretty in depth with a lot of stuff. I'm not saying they are all inclusive, but they're pretty well-rounded videos to help out. Jay, I did see your stuff. I'll check that out after the live stream, which I guess is probably in the home stretch here. I'm not, so Bill Hewitt, I'm not like a diehard fan of him, but I do think he has some good information on the channel to look at. And I think that cap video, that's probably where I learned it from, if I remember right. So, guys, 1 minute. I'll be right back. 14 people here, just like last time I left. I will be right back. Don't leave. Give me 2 minutes. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry. These things go kind of long. I need breaks every now and then. It's also because I've had a ridiculous amount of caffeine today to get through my day. So let's see here. Huge Clinton fan. Let's not talk politics here, Josh. Let's see here. I'm missing stuff. Cody, you would be correct. That's my second break of the live stream. I want to say normally I do make it through an entire 3.5 hour live stream and never get up. So, I mean, I'm just saying. But I've had, how many monsters have I had today? I think I've had like 6 or 7 monsters today. So I've had a lot of caffeine come through me. Too soon. Let's see. Since plastic cap always fails, I want. So Nick, if you want to go to an old school cap, the degas bottle that we put on Josh's truck from Rhino Diesel, Rhino Diesel Products, that's definitely where you want to go. And he has that, and they are super. They are really, really not just being a cup. Jared, what's that sound? I don't know, guys, what sound you're talking about. But that's an old school cap design, and it has the bleed off valve too. So that would be one way to go. I will say I noticed on one, so the 6.7 has 2 different cooling systems, and one of the degas bottles on that has an old school cap on. So I was wondering, I was kind of looking at that the one day. I was like, I wonder if that could be modified as like a cheaper alternative to the cool. I mean, I really like the cool aluminum degas bottles, but I was thinking I was thinking that'd be kind of a cool thing, but I don't think it has enough room to actually support the coolant amount that a 6.0 needs. Here we went to politics. Dip fingers in there and give them a cracked injector cups aren't a cheap job to have done or an easy job to do yourself. Yeah, I don't know where I missed about cracked injector cups, but that sucks to deal with. Yeah. Also, the cylinder heads on. This is one thing. So 6.0s don't typically crack injector cups. They tend to crack the head and let coolant flow in. So, but they can still crack injector cups, obviously. But typically, the crack happens higher in the casting. I feel like $100 labor isn't terrible for that. One nice thing is with the factory injector and having, especially if it's installed at Ford, is you're going to get a good warranty with it. That is one thing. I've run aftermarket injectors, but it is one thing to say when you're at Ford, the warranty is kind of a big thing. Anyway, people joining this live stream are probably like, why are they talking about peeing in a cup? No, the Ford factory head, I'm not gonna lie, it's actually getting a little chilly. I got to take my prop and put it on now. Last time, guys, for anybody, before I put it on here, Making 6.0s great again, available at Teespring. Go check them out, guys, if you want some 6.0 Bro merch. And they're pretty comfortable. This is which one is this? This is the premium hoodie. I hate when the strings are not even, or at least close to it. There we go. Yeah, but comfortable stuff. This is the premium one. The classic hoodie is also very comfortable. I like them a lot. So I will work on getting the zip ups out there, guys. Why do we call it getting chilly when it's cold? Chilly is hot. Valid point, Cody. Fair enough. Let's actually, we're going to talk 6.0 cylinder heads for a while because it's actually a kind of interesting topic. It's been a while since I've done a video talking about the cylinder heads of the 6 liter. So why does 6 liter cylinder head suck so much? I agree with the black strings, and the classic hoodie does have black strings. The premium hoodie has the white strings. Classic hoodie has the black ones. To have bunker branding supply all the merch. Who's bunker branding? I'm not aware of them. Anyway, so 6.0 cylinder heads have a lot of flaws. Probably the biggest one is someone said about valve guides. That is an upgrade. It's a new Mexican thing. So they don't have the valve guide, or at least they don't have full-length valve guides, I should say. They also don't have pressed-in valve seats. So the valve seat area is hardened. And the problem when you harden gray iron, it gives it the wear characteristics that we need in these high-performance engines. It's 2020. What's up, Mongoose? How you doing, brother? So when you harden gray iron, which is what the cylinder heads of a 6 liter are made out of, it gives you great wear characteristics, but it makes it pretty brittle. So anybody that knows a little bit about hardening material is it tends to make certain things brittle. Some things are more prone to that. Gray iron, very prone to that. So what happens is why the 6.0 has so many cracks in the heads. That's why, is because of the wear characteristics we needed in the valve seat area. So ways to fix that. Pressed in valve seats would have been one. And a lot of guys that go over cylinder heads. Hey, Robert, thanks for stopping in, man. You have a good one. Joe, I have heard of DK engine parts. Let me bring them up in another screen, and we'll talk about them a little bit. I'll kind of be my reminder to cycle back and talk about DK engines because they've done some stuff. And we'll also bring up, gosh, what's their name? Powerstroke. There's like a PSP company. I really can't think of their name right now. Powerstroke Diesel, no. Somebody will come up with it. Not Powerstroke Hub, not Asheville Engines. It'll probably come up here in the live stream somewhere. Not Powerstroke Help. I can't think of it right now. If diesels and coolant run away, things will get real expensive. So anyway, pressed-in valve seats really the answer to that. And also, as you know, some guys know, some don't. A lot of the other diesels use aluminum heads. So aluminum, while you can still harden certain ways, and you can use various grades of aluminum, just doesn't have the wear characteristics. So aluminum heads have to have pressed-in valve seats. I know a lot of guys are kind of anti-aluminum heads on 6 liters when they started being made. But you just have pressed-in valve seats, and that really resolves the issue that was still an issue on the iron cylinder heads of the 6 liter. Just nobody wanted to really talk about it at first for why it was such a big issue. No, Nick, they're not cheap, but you got a really nice product. I have the iron heads on my 6.0, and I will say when at some point the 6.0 will get a built Kill Devil diesel engine, I will most likely go aluminum heads. I don't know if that'll happen right now with what's going on. Hopefully I can just get it back on the road. Honestly, I'm hoping for a cylinder head issue that's relatively inexpensive to get back on the road. And a year from there is kind of going to be my timeline to hopefully save up enough money to just have a built Kill Devil diesel engine, maybe even get to go down and hang out with him and help build my own engine, which would be super cool. We talked Him and I talked about that in the past, but I also know he's super busy, so I don't know that that would be a feasible option. But at some point, I'd like to get down to Kill Devil Diesel and hang out for the day. Now, who are DK Engine Parts? Let's bring up their website. I know you guys can't see this part. So I haven't looked into them a ton. I am aware of them. I know a little bit about them. I've seen their pretty affordable intercooler pipe kits, and they seem to be slightly different than some of the cheaper kits out there. I don't know if they are cheaper. Like, they have some affordable stuff. I'm sure they have some expensive stuff. Some of the parts they sell, I mean, they sell literally everything. They have aluminum degas bottles. They don't make me, they really seem very China-esque. They have their own camshafts. I didn't know that. They have a nice website. I will give them that. I don't know why it's showing me 6.4 stuff when I asked for 6.0 stuff, but they have full-on rebuild kits. Looks like it's Molly rebuild kits, which supplied most of the original parts for the 6-liter. In case a lot of guys don't know, air piece studs, fuel filters. They do their own short blocks. That's kind of cool. What else do they got here? Just kind of going through their stuff. They have a lot of original OEM stuff. In case anyone's wondering, a set of OEM head bolts from them is $14.99. Random thing. Jay, have a good one, man. Thanks for stopping in. What's a 6.4 Voodoo? I don't know. Somebody look up 6.4 Voodoo while I look at the cylinder heads from DK. If I can find them here. See what they're all about. Are they the ones that they have their own connecting rods? They have high performance H-beam connecting rods. That's kind of cool. They're relatively reasonably priced. I think they're overpriced at $2,200, considering you can get the assassin rods from Kill Devil for I think like $19. So I don't know that I'd go that route. Personally speaking, that is. The Alliant Power stuff. Man, they have a lot of nonsense here. Got reman turbos. They should probably get in touch with somebody selling turbos, Alliant water pumps. That's kind of cool. They have their own billet adjustable fuel pressure gizmo. That's a nice touch. Oil rail things. I'm sorry, drawing a blank there. I don't see their cylinder head. Cylinder head and valve train components. Let's see what's here. Oh, there we go. I don't know if that's a 6.0 head. Yeah, that's a 6.0 head. I don't think they're worth it. I don't know where they're getting them. I'll say that. $1,700 for cylinder heads. I don't know if shipping is included in that or not, but for 600 more, and I know 600 more is that's a lot of money, but for 600 more, you get Kill Devil Diesel quality, and that you don't have to worry about finding out if it's good or not. It's good stuff. So I don't think it's worth saving the money. $1,700 for their O-ring loaded. I mean, it is loaded. I will say it's a direct comparison. Loaded cylinder head, I assume, with factory pressure valve springs. I don't know much about DK engine. I do want to say that, but at the same time, I just don't think it's worth taking the chance. They do seem like they have some cool stuff. They have camshafts. They seem to have their own custom cams. I'm sure someone's making them for them, but the fact that they have them at all, I think it's pretty cool. Do they have an about section? I mean, heck, they even do engines. Let's take a look at their engines. Well, they do short blocks, I should say. Let's see what they have for short blocks here. They should send me a short block. And no, you can do a long block. You can get their O-ringed heads, ARP studs. So that's kind of cool. $5,500. Looks like a pretty plain Jane build. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to bore everyone here. I hope we're not losing everyone. Just trying to see if what all this company does and if it's worth it. Ceramic coated moly pistons. The ceramic coated pistons just coming that way. That's kind of nice. Assembled short block with brand new H-beam rods. All right, I'll give them this. If their connecting rods are worth anything, that's actually really nice. And that's a reasonable price for a build engine. I don't know that I could bring myself to pay that from an unknown company like this. When for $1,500 more you can get they're in Georgia, About Us. Let's see who the heck they are. That's too long for me to read right now. I'll have to look into them more later to be able to give an answer. I will say their cylinder heads versus the known quality of Kill Devil Diesel, I would just buy Kill Devil Diesel heads. And that way you know you're safe. No, it's on the GT350. Kind of heavy duty springs. It says thanks for the diesel parts. Yes, it is the 6-0 Bro merch sweatshirt. Stanger, how you doing, brother? I do want to say their engine build. If it comes with connecting rods that are upgraded, that is a heck of a price. You're probably talking like 10 grand from any other builder to have it. Now, I don't know that their connecting rods hold up to what they say. Maybe I should reach out to them and see what they're willing to send the channel. Give them some advertisement. I would certainly put their engine through a lot of torture. I would not be easy on that engine. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of. I'm just not familiar enough with them, and and I'm not saying anything. I don't know. I've never heard anything bad about them. Just there's a lot of companies that's got into stuff that weren't able to meet demand and weren't able to keep quality control up. So I don't want to. $1,700 is a lot of money, and I don't want to recommend something for it to not. For $600 more, you can get a part that I know is good and is one of the best in the name. So that's kind of where I would go. If all their information on there is correct, it sounds like a heck of a deal. But I can't attest to the quality of it. Do they have Preston valve seats? I didn't see that. That's definitely something I would want to know. Because they definitely need Preston valve seats to be a good overall quality. Where are they? There they are. Do cast glow plug area? If these do include the hardened seats. Okay, so I want to know. They just say they do include hardened seats. Is it a Preston valve seat or is it a hardened seat area? Because those are two different things. So if you if it's just hardened seat area, it's not worth your money. But if it's a pressed-in valve seat, then it's worth your money. Includes one ARP head stud kit, 2 brand new improved castings, all new casting valve, heavy duty springs for stage 1 or stage 2 turbo upgrades to eliminate turbo lag, port and polish, intake and exhaust port, O-rings. What ads say 1-year warranty? No, Joe, it does sound like a decent deal. It really does. I would make sure they're pressed-in valve seats. I would not buy a 6.0 head without pressed-in valve seats. You're asking to deal with issues later. That's kind of where I'm at on that. And I'm not a fan. It's an expensive job to do to have to turn around and redo down the road. Do I think it's a cool idea? Do I think they're onto something? Yeah. I just don't know that I buy that it's the best decision to spend your money on. When in the scheme of things, they're close. Now, if it was if you could back it up, then yeah, I'd say it's worth every penny. But I don't know that. I would not do electric fans for daily driving. They don't pull in enough air for like stop and go traffic to keep the engine cool. That's more of a race truck thing. Grant, what should I do? Or did I miss something? Wouldn't ported iron heads flow as well as the aluminum ones without any of the downsides? Do aluminum heads really have downsides? They're crickets, brother. Every now and then the one road does get some traffic and people come flying by in their diesels, but no, currently you're hearing crickets. So, Mike, I don't personally think a aluminum head really has any downsides to them. I mean, the 6.7 runs aluminum heads. The Duramaxes have always run aluminum heads. I believe Cummins runs aluminum heads, and I think most big. Now, this is not an apples to apples comparison. You definitely not if you do any towing with your truck. Do not do electric fans. You will hate that setup. But I don't feel aluminum cylinder heads on diesels have any downsides to them, personally speaking. So now I will say this: can iron heads flow as much? Yes. Yeah, but Mike, if you overheat an aluminum cylinder head, you most likely overheated your aluminum piston. So I really don't think there's an issue there that you'd have to worry about. I mean, there's guys doing some pretty crazy exhaust temps down the track, and they've never had issues. I shouldn't say never. I think Warren Diesel's fried, but Warren Diesel sets entire trucks on fire at the same time. So, I think cost is really the only like super valid complaint there, because I personally believe iron heads need pressed-in valve seats as well. And Kill Devil Diesel always uses their iron heads and aluminum heads both have pressed-in valve seats. Hardening the valve seat area without on the iron heads is kind of part of what cost this was kind of the reason that 6.0 cylinder heads crack in the first place. I mean, I think for what most people are going to do, an iron head isn't a bad out. I mean, I run iron heads. I will say this, with a port and polish, yeah, you can get them to flow as much as an aluminum head. It's just more expensive to do because the iron is harder for the machining to get through. So aluminum heads are faster to port and polish, which is part of why they're cheaper to have done. I will say iron heads are obviously going to be less prone to flex. Oh, excuse me. Might need to grab the other monster out. Oh, it's 3.5 hours. We might just need to end the live stream soon. Grant, I might do that. I might reach out to DK. I don't know that, and I don't want it to sound like I'm coming down. Because they're not Kill Devil. But I mean, if I'm gonna, I'm obviously not made of money. I worked a double yesterday, not for my health, and I did it like 11 hours a day. Again, not because I wanted to. It's just it needed done. But because they are an unknown, I wouldn't personally spend my money buying their products at this time because I don't know enough about them. From what I see on their website, they have a very professional website and they seem to have some cool stuff. I just don't know that it's necessarily worth the money, is kind of my thing. So, Mike, I don't know that we can say I ended the live stream early. I don't think I will be. I don't think I'll be opening my other monster. I do have one back there, but I really got that for tomorrow, not for today. It's been a long week at work. But no, I might reach out to DK Engine and see if they're willing to do anything. I will say, I mean, that is asking a lot of a company that probably has no idea who I am. Hey, send me stuff for free to test. Don't get me wrong, it would be super cool. Come here, Izzy. All right. Yeah. Hi, puppy. You guys want to see my dog? Izzy, you haven't had her? Izzy. I guess she was kind of. Izzy, look over. She won't turn around. She will in a minute. She's going to hang outside here with me for a little bit. Anyway, so DK Engines, I'm probably going to leave their stuff up. I'll probably look into it a little. That being said, I am a pretty big fan of Kill Devil Diesel, and I think for what I want to do down the road, they are kind of more of a premium option. Where some of this DK stuff looks a lot like the Chinese crap that I've seen before. But that being said, they do say here they use AFE filters, so that's definitely a step up. We might be able to make something happen with these guys. We'll see. And who knows? Maybe they say they're not even slightly interested in me. Who knows? They do seem to have a lot of nice stuff, but at the same time, I don't know the overall quality of it. So. Where are their connecting rods? I do want to see their connecting rods. Again, because they looked pretty beefy. They sell cranks and everything too. I mean, they do have a lot of crap. But I'd be curious as to who's building their cranks. Like they have an OEM one that's remanned here, and then they have new cranks. So I don't know, man. Crankshafts are kind of one of those things I'd hate to find out. It's a bad part to find out that they cheaped out on, you know? Mike, don't worry. I swear I'm good. I'm not over caffeinated at the moment. Earlier today, I was. So when I tow with my 6-liter, well, and my 6.7, because they both of them have GoFundMe for the white truck. I refuse to do a GoFundMe for the white truck. I will say this. I always tell people, I even said this earlier. I don't think you were in the live stream. I'd rather you guys go buy merch than do a super chat, because I feel at least you get something then. I'd rather you guys do that than do a GoFundMe or do the Patreon, because I don't feel I can give you guys enough value with those things. So if you do want to support, everything I make goes back into the channel, guys. So if that's something, I know you guys want the white truck back. I want the white truck back. I swear I'm working on it. But if you want to do something, go buy a merch item is the best way to do that. You can still super chat, but I just feel like you guys actually get something if you buy merch, as opposed to a super chat. You get your comment highlighted for like 2 minutes and that's it. So exhaust temps. So the aluminum melts at 1250, but you need to be sustained at 1250 for a while. How did I lose 10? Like 10 or 12 likes on the channel, or on this video specifically. That's weird. Anyway, So 1250 is the melting point of aluminum. You can hit 1250, it's fine. You need sustained temperatures at 1250. Just because you touch 1250 doesn't mean it's going to melt. Down the track in the quarter mile, I've seen 16, like 1700 degree temps, exhaust temps, but they're for very, very short durations. Mike, I'm sorry to hear about your dog. Thank you. I think Izzy's pretty darn cute too, but I am sorry. 13-year-old service dog, man. That's wow. That's hard to hear, but we love our animals in our family. Josh has two Akita. She's a purebred Akita, right, Izzy? When I call her name, she turns her ear but won't turn her whole head to look at me. She's a very stubborn dog. And then Josh has two purebred Akitas too. Josh actually has her brother from the litter after her. They don't get along though. Anyway, so I would say if I'm pulling a grade, if my exhaust temps are still going up at 1350, I back out. If you're seeing 12, I've seen guys hold 1250 extended for a pretty long time and not have issues. But typically, I like to be under 1200 degrees cruising. But again, pulling a grade, it might peak at 1350. If it doesn't start coming down while I'm pulling the grade, then I back out of the throttle for a little bit. But you might get, after it comes back down under like 1,000 for a second, I get back in it to get up the grade. I'm not trying to go up it slowly. Just tell them you're whistling diesel and they'll send you a whole shipment. Yeah, probably. Grant, what's the Are you talking about the 6.0 fan clutch versus the 7.3? I think the 7.3 fan clutch mod is kind of silly. So you can do a blue spring mod on this. You can do a blue wire mod on the 6.0 fan clutch, which will allow you to command it open or on full tilt if you're having issues. Whereas the 7.3 is just strictly temperature and will kick on automatically. It's not bad. I just don't think it's the best thing for a 6-liter. I think it's cool that, don't get me wrong. I think, hi, Izzy. Now she wants to hang out. Right? Oh, yeah. I love you. She's a good pup. So I just don't think that the 7.3 fan clutch mod is necessarily better. Just do the blue wire mod and you can do the same thing, except you have actual control. Both will trigger soft codes, meaning you'll always have a code in the background. It won't trigger the light, but it'll be on, or it will be in the ECU anyway. So guys, feel free to send pictures of your dogs to the Instagram account. I love seeing dogs, so send them in there. Favorite street tune is definitely Windrunner Performance Engineering. His race tune was my favorite street tune. It was a very mild race tune. I personally refer to it more of as a aggressive street tune, but it was fun. I got great mileage. The drivability, like the transmission shifting, was perfect, and it just performed very, very well. So that was my favorite one. Blessed Performance. I talked with him. I can't remember if you were in at the start of this, but Blessed Performance he learned to tune partially from Nate at Windrunner Performance. Nate is out of the game. He does not tune anymore, which is unfortunate because he had some of the best tunes. But Blessed Performance is getting some really good reviews. And like I said earlier, he reached out to me. We're going to work with him on some tuning. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very excited about the opportunity to get to work with him. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we can get that ball rolling very shortly. We'll see. I'm going to try to touch base with him this coming week. We might talk Sunday. If not next week sometime, I'll get a chance to talk to him. But that's who I'm going to try next. Warren Diesel, I'd like to try here. Great stuff about him. Of the tunes I've tried, so I've done Power Hungry Performance, Innovative Diesel, Windrunner. We're going to take Windrunner Performance out of it. And Truck Source Diesel. I would say Power Hungry Performance and Truck Source Diesel were my two favorites for similar reasons. Great transmission tuning, drivability was there, good power, and decent fuel economy. Yeah, Grant, I'm with you. I personally like the just like the 6.0 one. I think it's a better setup. Just do the blue wire mod if you need to be able to command it on. Whereas with the mechanical fan clutch mod, you need to wait till it actually hits your temp to turn on. So there's guys that love the 7.3 mod fan clutch, but I've heard guys say they go back to it. Right, Izzy? Yeah, we go back to the 6-liter fan clutch because we're not silly. Sorry, I talk to my dog all the time. Yeah, I don't know much about 5-star tuning. I'd be willing to try their tuning down the road when I have my 6-liter back again. But personally, I don't know. I'd go a different route. Probably Truck Source Diesel because I have a fair amount of experience with them. But again, all the tuners I've listed are good tuners, so any of them would be good. I'm just not familiar with 5-star. I know I feel like 5-star is bigger in the gasoline world. My dog is not liking that I didn't let her in the house yet. Hang out here with me. No, now she just wants attention. Don't belch on my computer. Sorry, guys. Anyway, guys, I think it is about that time to start shutting this down soon. This is a new record long. I will say this. Part of why I want to shut it down is I don't want to hit 4 hours. Because when we hit 4,000 subscribers, we're going to go at a minimum of a 4-hour live stream to celebrate. So we need to hit 10,000 subscribers first. So spread the word. And when we do, we're going to do our longest live stream ever. So I don't want to hit 4 hours because that's kind of the goal mark for when we have 10,000 subscribers. I don't want to have to do a 5-hour live stream, mainly because I don't know that I'll be able to keep interest for 5 hours from you guys. So we are soon going. So we're going to start getting ready to cut this down. ARP custom studs. Yeah, no, they are expensive. They are very expensive. And I'll say this, my personal opinion is if you think you're going to go over any injector that has a larger than stock nozzle, and this is if you only really listen to like my philosophy on injectors, so I mean, take that into consideration. But if you're going over a stock nozzle injector, I think it's worth the extra security of having the aged head studs. Personally, because I don't feel you should go over even with O-rings, I think 550 is kind of the max horsepower you should run the standard ARPs before you go up to the next one. And that's just because I just think you're pushing it further. Just get the right stuff to do it. Anyway, guys, so we are going to get ready to cut out. Check out the merch stuff store. Really appreciate the support, guys. I will work on the design you guys said about the SOB on the front with making 6.0s great again. I'll probably do another one with this 6.0 bro on the front and Josh's logo on the front. These will be two different ones and a different SOB, probably SOB like down the line, and then have everything come out to the right of that. So more merch stuff coming. I hope you guys do enjoy the stuff that's up though. Thank you for all the support, guys. If you haven't already, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on bell notifications if you haven't already, guys. Thank you again. Let me know if you guys need any links for anything that I can get you. I'll see you guys later. Everyone have a good weekend. I will try to get a video probably up doing some random stuff from a car meet. Hopefully Sunday the plan is. So anyway, guys, thank you again. Always great, and we'll be doing this soon. Take care.